Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. I'm your host, Marco Mazzola. I want to welcome you and a very special guest today. His name is Raphael Moran from the Geeky Dad Podcast. We're super excited to have you on the show tonight. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm very good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We're doing great. So you reached out to me the other night, a little while ago, and we talked about being on the show, and I'm looking forward to being on yours as well. We're super excited. So I got to listen to your show, and it's amazing. Like, it's super cool. What a great, theme. It's a great concept to have your kids on the show, and they're super fun. So like I usually do this with like a bunch of guys and some of the girls that I work with and things like that. So it's it's a bunch of adults talking at each other, but it's such a great version to have your kids and their opinions and their views on it. It's a totally different thing. I honestly haven't heard anything else like it. And I'm really digging it. I've been listening to a few episodes since I've been talking to you. Super cool. Super cool. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, where we started out from Anchor, so you just look up the Geeky Dad Podcast and you'll find us there.
Cool. How about social media? Anywhere they can find you there?
Same thing, you go on Facebook and look up the Geeky Dad Podcast. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter.
Cool.
All over the place.
Excellent. Definitely check it out, guys, because I've been doing that, and it's super fun. It's a fun show. When you want to like just kind of get your spirits up. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are super positive about stuff and things like that. If you hear about my show, sometimes we're on top of each other, just going at it. So it's really fun. It's a really light show, and I really enjoy it. So thank you for that.
It's a show you can watch with your family, listen to.
Exactly.
Your family. Yeah.
Exactly right.
We're actually on YouTube now too. So yeah.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. All right. So you got a YouTube channel as well. Yeah. I started one. I haven't quite really fleshed it out yet. We've only been doing it since August, and I think we're on we have 31 or 32 episodes now. How about yourself?
Yeah, we just started recently this October.
Yeah. So there you go. So super. Yeah. So some of the stuff still needs to be fleshed out on our end too. There's so much, right? There's so much.
It just is, it's a little daunting.
It can be. It absolutely can be. Like, we have a full-time job, and I run a business, so it's a side project, and it's been a lot of fun. So fantastic. So tonight we're going to talk about the Karate Kid, and all things Karate Kid, from the original movies to obviously now Cobra Kai. We're going into season 4. So where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, you have a martial arts background, right?
Yes, 37 years now.
So, from your perspective, you can admit that Ralph Macchio doesn't know what he's doing, right?
Oh yeah, and he said it many times. He he doesn't really. He has no prior training other than what they teach him for the movies of the show.
And I mean, it doesn't seem like he can even beat up Johnny at all.
No, definitely not. And like I said, I saw him on an episode of The Comic Book Men. I don't know if you ever get to watch that. And he had that little stand. He told him, he's like, no, I don't know anything about this stuff. So as a martial artist, watching somebody do martial arts moves, it gets a little strange. It feels a little funny. Like, you can see where the holes are. And like, okay, this guy's had a minute and a half of training because they needed it for the show.
Yeah.
Versus you see like a Jet Li move and you're like, all right, this guy's legit because he's been doing this since he was a little kid. And now he's just acting and he's doing what he's been doing forever.
Even Will Smith's kid was a better fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. The movie not as much, but definitely him was what he was doing. Absolutely.
But I gotta admit, Jackie Chan was very good in that movie.
Yes, Jackie Chan I thought was great in that movie, and I love Jackie Chan anyway.
Probably some of his best acting I've ever seen.
Yeah, it definitely was. I don't know that I was super crazy happy with the way they portrayed Miyagi, because he was basically down and out and drunk and alcoholic the whole time. It was almost a weird version. Having been through Pat Morita's Miyagi,
right?
That's the one we all grew up with, and you saw who he was. Not that he didn't have that quick moment of drinking when he was celebrating about mourning his wife and things like that, but other than that, he was pretty straight and noble, right? And then you see Jackie Chan's version was different, but we were just talking about this sort of thing offline before we started recording, is that like that one was somebody else's Karate Kid. Right? Like, you have to reboot things. People wonder about why we do all these reboots. Like, well, it's not really for us per se. It's for the new audience to watch this thing that they didn't grow up with in the 80s.
Right.
So that's their first Karate Kid, right? Adam West was somebody's first Batman. Michael Keaton was somebody's first Batman. Christian Bale, as much as I can't stand it, was somebody's first Batman. You know what I mean? And they love it. Jar Jar Binks was somebody's first introduction to Star Wars.
Yeah.
And they love it because that's what they knew first. They don't remember the 70s and 80s versions of Star Wars. So it's new. It's new for somebody. The Jackie Chan version was the Kung Fu Kid.
Right.
Kung Fu, but that's okay. It still tied it back to the original. Just put Karate Kids. That's okay. They get a pass for that.
I mean, you're a kid of the '80s, so am I, and regardless of how Ralph Macchio was in that movie, the movie was still good. Yeah. And I don't know of any other kid in the '80s that didn't tie a bandana around their head and did the crane kick. Everybody was doing it.
Absolutely, without a doubt. What really worked for that, the original movies, was that he didn't know what he was doing. So the character didn't know what he was doing. So he was literally training from day one. You know what I mean? So the hard part of the trope is that he doesn't know what he's doing. Ralph Macchio doesn't, clearly. You can see it. But then he does win. Like, that's the part. That's, I guess, where the problem. He has a couple months worth of training versus a black belt who's been training for years.
Right.
And he wins. And as, of course, later on, decades later, we all kind of look at the memes and go, oh, yeah, that's right. He did win on an illegal kick.
Yeah.
He won on a kick to the face, and that's illegal. But we've all celebrated him for years.
Yeah. But, the first one was realistic in a sense. But as the other sequels started to go on, it came a little bit too popcorny,
Definitely. I mean, certainly by the third one, it was very cartoonish.
Yeah.
With Terry Silva, and you have,
Terry Silva was probably the best thing in that movie to me.
Yes, and I'm excited to have him back in season 4. That's going to be exciting. I really like what they show, but we'll get there. But yes, then you have the next Karate Kid.
Yes.
With Hilary Swank, which is actually filmed very close to where I was living at the time in Newton, Massachusetts. They were filmed all around that area in Cambridge and things like that. So it was pretty cool. It
wasn't a bad idea. Just execution was not up to snuff,
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a tough sit to begin with. And nothing against Hilary Swank. I think she's an amazing actress. But yeah, the script was a little tough.
She was good in it, I thought.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, she was definitely good. It's one of those situations where you have a good actor with a not so great script, and they're just doing the best they can with what they're given.
Right. I mean, do you think she'll ever show up in a season of that show?
In a way, part of me hopes so.
I would like that, actually.
Yeah, little tie back to I knew Miyagi too.
Right.
He trained me too, and so I'm gonna come and help out.
What would be crazy if she hooks up with Johnny?
Right? I never thought of that. That would be crazy. That would be, because obviously we're not going to get the Johnny getting back with
Allie.
With Allie, so so that's not going to happen. So I think that would be kind of cool. And it would be good to get her back in. I don't know if she said she wouldn't do it, but
what is she doing now?
Right. I haven't seen her anything in a long time, but why not? I mean, everybody seems to be kind of getting on board. There's so much of this going on, I think, just in general with pop culture and things like that. And, obviously Spider-Man and everything that's been happening. All this sort of old home week, everybody's kind of coming back in to do, work on properties they worked on 10, 20 years ago. And why not? It's fan service. People want to see it. New people want to see it. People who've seen it from before want to see it. Why not? It's bringing everything back together again.
Nostalgia is a lot. It's a money grabbing thing,
Huge right now. I mean, it always has been, but right now, this nostalgia stuff is, and I think everybody kind of needs it, especially everything we've been going through in the last couple, year and a half, 2 years. Everybody kind of needs that kind of reset, if you will. That let's kind of hold on to something, what life used to be.
I kind of wish that they took that approach with the Star Wars movies, because I felt like they were trying to kill nostalgia with that one.
They seemed it, right? Because they're kind of killing everybody off that we loved, that we cared about. They're just like, well, we're done with these people, right? We're done with the Skywalker trilogy. No. They were done with their Skywalker, saga. Really, it wasn't until the saga. So we're moving forward on that. We'll see what happens with the next one. I don't know.
I'd rather they put Jon Favreau in charge for the next movie or something.
Yeah, Filoni and Favreau just need to take over, get rid of it, get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, and just let them do what they're doing, because they're crushing it with Mandalorian. Boba Fett looks like it's going to be, if not better, like it's going to,
right,
because it has the nostalgia that we love Boba Fett. Now he's got his own show.
Right.
I think that's going to be amazing. there's so much coming out of that studio that if she could just get out of the way, I think she's been one of the hindrance, and it's kind of like the known factors that she's one of the hindrance of that.
Yeah,
she's always been like that since back in the Indiana Jones days. People always kind of wondered how she got through the industry as far as she did.
I mean, she probably couldn't push her on Spielberg. That's why.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. So I don't know. So anyway, going back to the Karate Kid, which of the four you say number one was your favorite?
Of course, yeah.
I gotta say, I think number two was always my favorite growing up.
Yeah, I liked it second.
It was for me. It was one of those I liked going back to Okinawa and the training and seeing where Miyagi came from. It definitely had a different feel to it.
It kind of looked like a backlot in L.A. to me, though. I don't think they shot in Okinawa.
No, I doubt it. I doubt they had the budget for that even back then. I don't think they had the budget for going overseas and doing what they had to do. But yeah, it was probably most likely a backlot. It was definitely a backlot, especially when they got into the village. Because it did seem weird when they're driving around and there's a lot of coast. And then you get to the village and it's really nothing. Just one little, 3 huts, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. So it seemed very small.
The only reason I like Karate Kid Part 2 so much, a little bit more than the other ones, I like the Karate Kid cartoon. I don't know if you ever seen that.
I did see that. In fact, I rewatched it recently. Somebody has it on.
That theme song gets stuck in my head sometimes.
It does. I mean, 80. How much was 80s just perfect for theme songs?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can in your head, you can do G.I. Joe, you can do Transformers, you can do Thundercats, you can do Smurfs, you can do all these theme songs that go in your head. I can't think of any nowadays. I really can't think of any theme songs. And I obviously got a kid, so I'm watching a lot of Coco Melons and Curious George.
Oh, forget about it. I mean, Baby Shark.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Lord save us from Baby Shark. Now my son is 17 months. He knows how to do the motions. So we know when he wants that. He starts making motions for Baby Shark. And then he goes on an endless loop.
But Daniel from the cartoon definitely knew how to kick ass better than the real life one.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely changed it up. They changed the dynamics a little bit in the cartoon. Because obviously the cartoon, there was other characters in it beyond just Daniel and Miyagi that weren't necessarily in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. You had other people in there, so.
But I heard the original idea for Part 2 was even crazier. They were gonna go back in time.
In the original movie?
Yeah, I heard. I was watching a documentary on it, and the screenwriter wanted to do some kind of weird time travel plot. It's crazy.
Oh, that is crazy.
They were going to go back and meet the Miyagi's ancestor.
Oh,
can you believe that?
Yeah, I can, because of the time period of which they were doing, and they did a lot of stuff like that. But it definitely wouldn't have worked.
The studio definitely nixed it right away. Yeah.
Thank the Lord that they did that, because that definitely would not have worked. Even back then, the budget they would
have drastic change, right?
I mean, you jumped the shark on the second movie. It was probably not the way to go.
No.
You know what I mean?
And then they tried to do it with the third one, the same story again. But
they were really hitting home on that one.
The writer really wanted to do that for some reason. I don't know.
Wow. How fast was he fired? So off our set, it's not happening.
I think the same guy wrote all three, though. Not sure about that.
Yeah, he probably did. Look it up. Actually, I've been on IMDb trying to get some facts and things like that on the original shows and movies. Just I like to have a little bit of information when I'm doing the podcast. Although sometimes when you listen to it, I'm like, I get offline. I'm like, that wasn't right, and I have to correct it later. Like, yeah, that's not what I meant. I do that once in a while. I'm also famous for killing people on the podcast. If you've ever had to listen, I tend to is that I think that person's dead, and they'd be like, no, he's still alive. I'm like, oh, okay. I've killed a lot of people on the podcast. I swear. So now it's sort of a running gag. No, he's actually gone. He's actually gone. So yeah.
Out of all the movies, I think Part 2 had the best villain. Chosen was really scary, dude.
Yes, he was, and seeing him back again. So getting into the actual the now Cobra Kai, it's a wonderful show, just what it is, right? It's really, I think it's well written. I've enjoyed it. Even the YouTube Red version of the season 1 was well done. And of course, Netflix, they moved over to Netflix, and of course, Netflix has all the money, so they can start upping the budget, upping the quality, things like that, and the writing staff. But season one was pitch perfect in and of itself.
Yeah, I love season 1. Probably one of the best out of all.
Is that your favorite one? I think the motivations on season 1 seemed the best. It was it's starting to get a little like, the gangs are getting bigger.
Yeah, and it's getting more cartoony now.
When you have that many people now fighting in the gangs, it's a lot of people, and you have to service every character with something, so you can't get as in depth with any character because it's just not enough screen time to give everybody their time on screen when you have so much to deal with. So when it was a smaller cast and a tighter crew, it is definitely easier to do that.
I like to call it a boy soap opera.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. It's a great way to put it. I think the nostalgia now of what they're doing, and that's, I'm a little nervous that that's what they're going to just lean on. I'm hoping they keep the writing going and pick it up a little bit and not just lean on the nostalgia, right? Because now Terry Silva's coming in, right? You had Ali back for a moment. You had Chosen in, which I thought was wonderful. It was a great way to bring him back, and he was like the good guy, but he was pretending not to be at first.
Right.
He was kind of like taking Daniel to school. Right there, he's taking Daniel to school, and he's like, I'm just messing with you. Get up. I'm going to show you how to do that. Like, that was really cool.
When I first saw the trailer for that season, I thought, like, maybe, like, is he going to team up with Cobra Kai? I'm like, whoa,
A Chosen with Cobra Kai?
Yeah.
That would have been intense.
Crazy. Yeah.
That would have been intense. I like when they do things like the woman who, he meets the girl that he saved from the bell.
Right. I didn't expect that at all.
It's the actual actress from the second movie. It was just grown up, right? And because they could have easily recast that role. Hey, now she's an adult. She could look very different, right? She was a kid. Most of us do, but they got her back. They made the phone call, said, "Hey, what are you doing? Let's, do you want to do this, scene?" And I thought that's a great fan service when they reach out that far to pull something in. To me that shows like they care about what they're doing,
Have you seen a recent movie called Paper Tigers?
No.
Yeah, you should check that out. It's a funny martial arts movie.
Okay.
About some retired martial artists, and Chosen, the actor who plays Chosen, is in that.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. So one of them has like arthritis. And another one has like a messed up leg. So when they're fighting all these young kids, they're like fumbling around. It's kind of really funny, like martial arts movie, and it reminds me a lot of Cobra Kai, actually.
All right, get up right now and I'm put it on my save list.
I think I saw it on Netflix recently. You should check that out.
Oh yeah, I see it here. Yep, the Paper Tigers.
Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. I'm gonna definitely check that out. Always looking for. Is that? Looks like some familiar faces in this from other things that I've seen.
Right.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, I'll check that out. Thank you. Always like good recommendations. Always find something to watch. I don't have to watch Big Bang Theory over for the 1700th time. Because I do that. I watch the same TV shows over and over again. I don't know about you, but I get fixated on one show and just rewatch it 100 times. So speaking of that. You've seen seasons 1, 2, 3. Have you rewatched them?
Yes.
Okay. All 3?
And yes. And you can see the as it goes with each season, it gets bigger and crazier, and more zany.
Yes. The fight scenes get more exaggerated. They're tearing apart their house, and I
These
think
kids should be in jail by now.
Yeah, every single one of them, without a doubt, because there's a lot of vandalism. They're of an age where they could be. When he gets knocked over the stairs and falls, to me, and then and he was pretty messed up in the hospital, but he still kind of gets up and walks and lives eventually.
Right.
That was a little okay. I mean, I understand how you have to write that for the story, but I can suspend disbelief for only so much, It's a karate movie, but it's not a fantasy karate movie, if that makes any sense.
Right.
It's not Shang-Chi, where you're dealing with like mystical elements and rings and dragons and so you can suspend the fact that a character can fall down a flight of stairs, land on their back, and yet still live and be able to eventually just rehabilitate and walk away.
I don't know if you giggle every time you see Ralph Macchio try to look badass.
Yes, and do a spin kick. Every time he tries to do that spin kick, I cringe.
Yeah, and he's trying to like look all tough, and like, oh, come on, Johnny. I'm like, oh God, please.
Yeah. It's interesting because having a background, like watching him just do stuff like that or do some moves like the spin kick, and he leads with his legs, not his hands and his back, which would help rotate you. He leads with his leg at first. It's like, that's not the way that works.
And you can
you're leading with the wrong part.
You can tell what, like, when doing it too. Like they always pull back on the shot from far away.
Yeah. Yeah. So he starts to look
but
good
the guy
when
who
the
plays
comes in.
Yeah. But the guy who plays Johnny, I think is a way better actor on the show for me.
Yes, and he actually has some background.
Yeah, I think he does. Black belt and
yeah, no, I was fortunate enough to meet them a few years ago at a convention in Boston, like outside of Boston, and I got a picture with them. So it must have been like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago at least by now, maybe even longer. And it was after the first season. It was after first season that had come out, and they were doing a convention. So the two of them were there together and took a picture. And it was a smaller convention, a little outside of Boston. So I was able to like actually talk to them. It wasn't just sort of a signing, thank you, and goodbye, which a lot of the bigger conventions can be. So I could just sit there and talk to them and have a chat with them. And Ralph Macchio was really cool. They were both really, really cool guys to talk to, but he got a little distracted talking to somebody else. So Zabka was just kind of, he and I were just talking because I had my school jacket on or whatever. So, he was asking me questions. And so when he and I were talking, the fact that he had actually studied, not a ton, but he had actually studied. So he has some background in it. So he does look a little bit more natural when he's doing his, even without the stunt double getting in there, he does look a little bit more natural. So that's good to see. At least somebody in the main cast can do stuff.
But the funny thing is, Ralph is actually the same age as Pat Morita was in the first movie. Right now,
I know. That makes us just feel old. Like, wait a minute, what happened? You looked at the Pat Morita, you're like, wow, he's an old dude now. Ralph Macchio is that age. You're like, oh no.
Ralph does, he looks good for his age. He doesn't look like he's 60 or anything.
No, he doesn't. He does look really. He's aged well, and so is Billy Zabka. They both aged really, really well. Even Martin Cove in the show, right? On personal, like in interviews and stuff like that, you can see a little bit more something whatever they do with him when they sort of dress him up and put the makeup on him. He looks pretty good. A lot of makeup. He looks pretty good. Terry
he
Silva
looks intimidating still. Yeah.
He still does look intimidating, even in those commercials, like the H&R blog, one of those commercials that do it, get that going, see where it's at.
But I also had like a predisposed built-in audience because of I used to be a comic book creator.
Yes, I was seeing that. I was hearing about that. Talk to me about that.
Are we recording?
Yeah, it's always recording.
Okay.
I just edit later.
All right. Yeah. I did a lot of independent comic books. Probably 10 years ago, I did a book called The Dream Reavers. It was like a 4-issue miniseries. It was like basically like Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors meets the X-Men.
Wow.
Okay.
There's a good amalgamation. That was good. I like that.
Yeah, it's basically these kids, they have special powers only in the dream world, and they have to fight off a Freddy Krueger-esque evil guy taking over the entire dreamscape,
Wow.
who's trying to come into the real world. And he can control people in their sleep. So you got basically like sleepwalking, like people trying to kill you in the real world, So it's kind of creepy for a little kid's book.
So did you write it or illustrate it or both?
I did the designs for them, and I wrote it.
Okay.
So yeah, I used to be an illustrator. I actually 20 years ago I went to the School of Visual Arts.
Oh. Okay.
And I majored in illustration and cartooning. but I did a lot of pencil work, and after a time, I used to get like pains in my hands, and then later on, I went to the doctor and I found out that that pain was from rheumatoid arthritis. Yeah, so I had to stop drawing, so I had to shift to be a writer.
Okay.
And even today, I get pains in my hands. Even right now, I gotta keep cracking all the time.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of like artwork, drawing, painting, and then a lot of computer work. So that, the typing, and then of course there's a lot of hitting. So it's definitely, I get the same thing in my hands, a lot of punching bags, punching people, doing things like that. So that on top of drawing and illustrating and writing and painting. Yeah, and a lot of web design, stuff like that. There was a lot of that. It was always with my hands. A lot of stuff with the hands.
It's sometimes even hard to like hold a pen sometimes, so.
Yeah, it can be tough. Yeah.
I got a severe case.
Yeah.
So I have to shift my focus,
Yep.
But I don't know. I guess I shift my focus again doing podcasting now.
It's fun though, right? Like it's a great outlet. I just have to. My biggest thing is managing my time. Having running to school, 17-month-old baby, essentially a toddler, essentially, and my wife. Obviously, we're just making sure we can spend as much time together as we can, because the school takes me out of the house mostly 7 days a week. Like I'm generally there every single day. I had classes all day today, and then I podcast for like 3 or 4 hours, and then tomorrow I'll be right back there. I got one class, but it's a 2-hour class in the morning. So still have to leave and say, all right, I'll come back in a few hours. So that can be tough.
Our show is we can do it in one sitting after watching a movie. That's it.
Yeah,
it's like we do it for one half hour or hour, and we're done.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So this weekend was kind of my big weekend, right? I'm trying to schedule one day or one weekend a month. I'm trying to book it to a day where I record, 4 or 5 episodes, long, the hour-long ones, and that way I can have a bank of them for at least a month, and I only have to do it once a month. So I'm only out of the house for that once a month. But now it's been like every weekend. A couple hours here, because it's not just I record for an hour, it's setup, it's breakdown, it's saying hi to people before you start and talking to them afterwards. So it's at least, 2.5 hour to 3 hour ordeal, even for just a 1 hour show.
Yeah.
So we're kind of trying to break it down. So now I have at least 4 or 5 in the bank. Tomorrow night, my wife and I are going to see the A Christmas Carol at a stage production at the North Shore Music Theater in near where we live. So we're gonna podcast about that after we get back. It's her birthday present. We're going to go out to dinner, and then we're going to come home and do a review on the show.
Yeah. I got a big Christmas episode coming up soon, too.
So what's the Christmas episode about?
I'm interviewing a guy that has a museum dedicated to the movie Gremlins.
Really? Where's that located?
It's somewhere in Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that, and then when I looked in further, when we did the interview, we found out it's just his house.
Huh. Okay.
It's not really a museum.
He's just got a massive collection.
Massive, but he has a website and everything, and he sells like merchandise and and stuff like that.
Wow. Here's an idea, and you probably be able to get them probably before I could. Is the guys who bought the Christmas Story house?
Oh wow!
Like that would be the guys. Like I want to interview those guys.
Yeah,
the guys who bought, because they bought the house and they basically renovated it. Right? They brought it back up to the way it looked in the movie.
Wow!
And now it is a museum. Like, do people go and take tours there?
Could do a nice Airbnb there too.
Yeah, I don't know if you can stay. I thought at some point they wanted people to, but like people were just like touching all the stuff, so like you can't. They have a lot of stuff roped off, so you're not just constantly touching the leg lamp,
right?
You know what I mean? Doing like that, but they bought the house.
Did they do a Blockbuster that was an Airbnb too?
Yes, I think they did.
I heard an article about that.
Yeah, and there's that episode of The Last Blockbuster that was kind of weird.
Yeah,
when that finally went down. So
yeah, and I got another episode coming up. Hopefully it pans out, but it's a guy from NASA. He's going to be on the show, and he's going to give his opinions on Lost in Space.
Wow. Yeah. That's where it's at, right there. That is amazing.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
I mean, like I say, I am like promoting everywhere on Facebook, so I'm like talking to people all day, basically.
Yeah, gotcha.
When I'm at work.
Do you find
know?
Facebook to be more like I use Instagram a lot?
Right.
Do you
I
find
find
Facebook?
it's hard to promote on Instagram because you can't really put links too much.
Right, you put one link in your bio.
Yeah.
So the only thing I ever do is like I link to my website for the newest episode.
Yeah, I find that also Twitter helps a lot too.
That's the one I use the least.
Yeah.
I probably need to get in more on Twitter. I got like really into Instagram, and I do advertise on Instagram, so we've gotten a pretty decent following on Instagram.
Right.
But I don't know how much it's helping the show, like get subscribers. That's the thing.
Right. Usually like if I tag like people on Twitter, their fans usually catch it,
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta have your hashtag game up when you go on Twitter.
That's it right there. That I've been pretty good with on, like I said, but mostly on Instagram. I got to get better on the Twitter. What drives me crazy on Twitter, I don't know what I didn't look at your handle on Twitter, but ours is like entertain rants. It can't handle entertainment rants. It's too many letters. It drives me crazy. It's a few extra letters and they couldn't manage it. Like, so it's at entertain rants instead of entertainment rants.
Yeah, I got a little bit of the same problem because there's another podcast called Geeky Dads with an S at the end.
Okay.
So it like a lot of people confuse the two shows.
Yeah. That'll happen. Yeah. It's interesting it's a game, right? You got to constantly play the game and it's constantly changing.
Right.
It's constantly, you got to keep up. So it's become like I was posting a lot, and like this is becoming a lot of work just to post like random stuff. So I'm trying to hone in what I want to post. You know what I mean? If I'm posting,
yeah. I mean, you gotta try to find a little bit of a niche, a little angle to the whole review game because everybody's doing reviews.
Yes, a lot. There's a lot. Yeah. So that was kind of our thing. Like I'm not just reviewing Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're hitting older stuff to hit, some of that market. We're getting like some of the nostalgia market. We're talking about Karate Kid. We're talking about Cobra Kai. We're talking about the old stuff. I did like a wrestling podcast. I did, different things like that. We just talked about 80s cartoons, which have nothing to do with today, but we're talking about 80s cartoons. We did our Christmas episodes. We talked about Christmas movies and TV shows, the old specials. And then my buddy who's big into retail, we did our Christmas shopping episode.
Right.
What the Christmas shopping season's like. You know what I mean? So it's a little different. I haven't really done much on music. I'm not really a music person,
I might be having a guy who's a musician.
Really? I want to. I almost had a comedian on. We did some stuff, but like we ended up just talking like personal stuff the whole time. So we never ended up talking about anything with comedy or stand up or anything. Like, well, it was a lovely chat, but I can't really use this. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Just the chat. She and I were talking, so we're hopefully going to be able to back around and do it again. But yeah.
That's
nice. So
that's what I tried to do too. Yeah.
My buddy who does who's the shopping guy. He's a collector and he lives in Pennsylvania. So he does a lot of conventions. He helps run RetroCon in Pennsylvania. So he wants me to come out next year and do an episode from RetroCon, like get a table and record from there because they have a lot of guests. They're not huge guests. We're not talking Chris Evans, but they had Harry Kaiser from Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, wow.
And my buddy actually drove him around the whole weekend because they often need somebody to help drive them around and stuff like that. So he was with him all week.
Did he pretend to be dead too, or no?
He's like, he did it. He did it for me. It was kind of cool. But like, he's like a really, really nice guy. He's like, if you go down there and you get a table, you can interview these guys. Like you take a couple, take 30 seconds, a minute or two, and they'll just interview them while they're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they probably love it too. They like the attention because.
Why not? It's an extra life based on like movies and stuff they did 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. It's still good extra life. So that's an idea. I think next year, and it's around like October. I think my wife and I are gonna take a trip down to Pennsylvania to do RetroCon and record from there. So if I kind of get that going, I get that ball rolling, where maybe I can get into other, kind of get set up in other conventions and podcasts from there, things like that. That would be really cool. Yeah.
So we're trying to do the same thing because we can't do reviews every week. So sometimes I bring in other dads to talk about fatherhood, and sometimes we even review like books. We're going to be doing a lot of books soon. Like we're going to be doing some comic books, some graphic novels, some
That's the other thing I haven't done yet either. We haven't touched that subject yet either. It's been a lot of movies. There's been so much stuff out, like new movies, and obviously with all the Marvel shows haven't stopped, and they're not going to stop anytime soon.
That's the problem. There's too much content out there.
A lot of content. You could be episode every day.
Yeah.
So we do one major on Tuesday.
It's hard to even keep up at this point sometimes.
It is. We do one major on Tuesday, we drop, and then a bonus on Saturday, which I actually have to put up the Saturday one this night or tomorrow morning for the Hawkeye from Wednesday. So
I've thought about doing 2 a week because of so much content, but I don't know if I can handle that.
It's a lot of recording, right? It's a lot of recording. So we're doing the whole month ahead of time to try to bang it, because it's just every weekend. I'm like, my wife is like, I don't recognize you anymore. Like, I want you to keep doing the podcast. But good Lord, I'd like to see you. So I do one day a month and like bang out, and then just like the offshoots, we'll do a little half hours to do like a the latest. We'll do a Boba Fett review, things like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we both get so big that we get like pre-screeners or something,
Yes, that's the way. That's the connections, right? Doing those cons, making those connections, getting the interview people. You know what I mean? That's the way to make it happen. So it's a great project, and like I said, check it out a year and see where we're at in a year.
Yeah.
And then
some people don't even go past two episodes.
I know. I think we've got to be pretty proud of ourselves making it this far already. Because, like you said, a lot of people don't. They find out how much work it is, and they're like, "Nope, I have a full-time job. Forget it."
I know so many people that started and just stopped.
Yeah, I was worried about myself. I was worried, like, am I gonna be able to keep up? Having a young kid and a full-time, like running a business. It's like, am I gonna have time to do that? But
it's so fun.
It really is. And my wife likes the fact it's like, well, now you don't have to talk to me about this stuff. You can talk to other people about this stuff. Because if I have to talk to her about Spider-Man one more time, she's gonna like swallow her tongue to get out of the conversation. Just have it done.
The way I talk with my kids, this is how we talk in real life. Yeah. Every movie we watch, we always talk together just like this. So I said, let's just record it.
That's exactly what we said. Like, we're always ranting about stuff anyway. Why are we not just recording it?
Yeah.
And putting it out there and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen, right? I spent a couple of bucks on, some equipment, and at the end of the day, if I don't end up using it, I'm sure I could sell it on eBay used and be done with it. But so far it's been great. It's a great outlet,
Have you been promoting your karate studio on the show?
A little bit. Every once in a while, I did it today on the Spider-Man one. They're like, "Wow, good plug! You plugged it, didn't you?" Yes, I plugged it. I plugged it in there real quick, and FocusMAWoburn.com, and I got that in there.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Every once in a while, not too. I'll talk about it once in a while, but I know I'm like, is it shameless just to keep saying the name of my studio on my show?
No, it's not shameless. I've seen other podcasts; they get really shameless, and
Yeah. I mean, we're local, obviously. We're in Massachusetts, and hopefully the podcast goes, at least global or at least the United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how your hosting platform works, but with Anchor, they tell you which country is seeing your show and everything.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely do a breakdown. They do a breakdown on it. So it's pretty cool. And Apple does too. So, you can kind of get a little bit of a breakdown of who's listening and things like that, how many listeners. But, and like I said, the Apple's only a small portion.
Yeah.
Of the overall listeners.
So I mean, I'm not plugging Anchor because they're my sponsor or anything. But I am.
No, but you are. But you like their service.
Yeah,
but you like their service. But you genuinely like their service.
Yeah,
I
mean anything that's free is good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame you. Yeah, but it sounds like they have a little bit more. Like I said, I use Castos, which is great. Service has been excellent, but I don't know that there's really anything as far as sponsors go. It's kind of like, we you can host your stuff here,
right?
And that's right. Beyond that, there's no helping you with any other stuff.
But you have to, and at Anchor, you have to reach a certain amount of listenership to get the sponsors. They don't give you right away.
Right. Well, so worth checking into. I'm definitely gonna check into that. Yeah, that's definitely the next step. That's where my wife's eyes start going. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay, keep doing it. Keep doing it.
You're not gonna make a lot of money. It's just like pennies, really.
Yeah, but it all adds up.
Yeah,
it's 2 pennies I didn't have yesterday, so it's all right. That's the way we look at it. It's $5 I didn't have yesterday. I don't care.
Well,
$5.
In total, all my episodes right now, I probably made $5. Yeah, that's about it.
$5 you didn't have yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we were dealing. So we go to a sort of a retreat, a 4-day seminar to our business consultant out in California for the school.
Oh, okay.
He had a financial advisor who also owns one martial arts school with like 120 students, which in the industry is low.
Right.
And the guy's a multimillionaire because he just takes every penny he makes from his studio and invests it.
Okay.
He's like, I don't invest in houses because houses, it's a home, it's not an investment. I don't, obviously cars we know are useless to invest in. He's like, I invest in the market. I invest wisely. I invest, some aggressive, some not. So my wife sat there for the entire, it was like 4 hours with this guy, like listening to all this, writing everything down. So now that's our next step. It's a great way to think about it. Like this guy is, he has a couple more students than I have. I'm not a multimillionaire. He's a multimillionaire because every penny he makes, he puts into the start. You know what I mean? He invests. Once once all of his stuff's paid off, he uses every bit of profit he has basically to invest it. So he's like, I don't need to have 10 schools. I don't need to have 500 students in my school. I can teach when I want to teach. You know what I mean? I go in, I have 120 students, and that's all I ever care to have.
You should get your students required to listen to your show.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. The problem is it's not always clean. It's not always, that's my problem. There's a lot of time there's an E on the end of my end of my episode. So the teens and adults definitely do. They love it. Don't know if I can get the 7-year-olds or the 10-year-olds to listen to parents might be like,
maybe their parents. I don't know.
You clean it up. The parents do. I've heard the parents like it. Some of the parents, because we talk about this, they were always talking like Marvel this or Star. We were always talking about stuff. So there's definitely some parents I know listen to it and but obviously they're not listening to it with their kids.
Yeah, I want to get some cosplayers on my show though.
That's a good hit. You definitely want to get some of those ladies and guys on there. Though that's a huge market. You get some of them and you tag them. Yeah, they're because they're all over. So their biggest thing is social media. Like that's where they live and breathe is social media. So once you get them on, So I'm actually making a custom pop figure.
For
the studio for my dojo. So we're doing like a boy and a girl version of a pop figure, and I'm creating. I had somebody at Fiverr. I was talking about Fiverr. We're having somebody do the artwork. I had somebody do the artwork for the box, and then I had to edit the whole thing because the guy was good, but it was very basic. I had to go through and just redo the whole 90% of it. He basically gave me the framework and the structure of the box, and I had to redo all the elements. Like, okay. Luckily, I have the background to do that. But we redid the entire box art. I have somebody who is one of my students, and his kids take class from me, and they he just bought like a 3D printer.
Oh yeah. I want to get one of those.
I don't know if I can share my screen. Can I share my screen? Let's see. Here we go. Let's see that. Can you see that?
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's
your original one, right?
Yeah, this is our custom one.
Oh wow. I might
pretty much all the artwork is redone by me by the backgrounds and putting everything over there.
Wait. So you can do this at Funko or
no, I'm just having this guy do 3D prints of it, and I'm just gonna sell a small handful at the school.
Okay, that's a good idea.
That's why the word Funko doesn't appear anywhere on here.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I was very cautious to make sure the logo of Funko is nowhere to be found.
This was a comic that I worked on. I don't know if you could see it here.
Now I can.
Yeah. This hard to get the right angle on this. Yeah, it was a book that was supposed to for a movie with Angelina Jolie and Johnny Depp.
Really?
I don't know if you can see there in there.
Yeah, I can see her. That one's a little her. She's a little clearer. Okay, now I can see him. Okay, just the angle.
Yeah, it's basically like it's like The Prestige meets Mad Max. It's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland with a magician, but in this future, technology is banned, right? But the magician actually uses like the old technology and tricks people thinking that he's doing magic.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
That's
that was
pretty
that.
cool. So how did you get that? Like, how did you get that published? Like, where did you independently or did you?
No, all my books were published by some small publishing companies.
Okay.
Yeah. This
Wow.
is this book was from Marcosa Publishing. It's a publisher in the UK. Yeah.
Okay. And can they
But
find it? Like, where could people find that?
well, I mean, you can find it on Amazon. You can find it on the Marcosa website. Yeah.
Did they ever digitize it to for like Comixology?
It's on Comicology. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love physical
I mean,
books, but like after a while, it's like, okay, I need
I mean,
space.
obviously, the movie never got made. So.
Right. But the book exists.
Yeah.
But the book
Yeah.
exists. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. Fantastic. All right. Did you want to get back to talking about Karate Kid?
Okay. Yes. I was thinking about what about after new season of Cobra Kai? What do you think the direction would be? Because I mean,
Where do
after
they go
Terry
from there?
Silver, yeah. What do you do after that?
Right. Because
Because I mean,
in the Terry Silva stuff, are we going to get? I can't remember his name. The kid that he brought in. Right. Do you
right.
think he'll show? Do you think he'll
Well,
show up at all during this episode? During
There
the
is
season?
a theory. There's a theory that's going out that Miguel's father has never been mentioned, and mother said, he was a really bad man. So a lot of the theory is he could be the guy that Terry Silva trained in Karate Kid Part 3.
That would be interesting. Yeah. Depending on how they play that, I could really see that happening, and I think that'd be a good pull. I want to. I want the knee jerk reaction is that's a good pull. I don't want to say they're gonna like, all right, that's too much, or that's gonna jump the shark. Like how, because there's that danger of, all right, everybody's tied together. Like everybody is looped. How small is this town? It's Encino. Like how small is this place? Like everybody's related to everybody, right? And, it could be dangerously close to tying everybody so close. But as fan service goes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you don't dangle a little thing like that and not pay it off. I mean, she said it for a reason,
Who do you think they are, DC? Give it to us, I do think, because I would like to see him.
Yeah, and this new season is supposed to be the final, like, All Valley Championship. The loser leaves. So, I mean, I'm assuming Cobra Kai is going to lose, right?
I don't know. It's Cobra Kai, and the show's called Cobra Kai. So how do you? How do you get rid of Cobra Kai?
If Cobra Kai wins, that means Daniel and Johnny will be gone, basically.
Yes, they'd have to leave.
I mean,
or somehow take Cobra Kai back.
Right.
Right. It's not that Daniel wants to be Cobra Kai. Like he doesn't want to be attached to Cobra Kai. I think Johnny might want it back. Yeah, he seems like he would want it back again because the eagle fang, whatever. Like that was a little like it's a little out there. Yeah, with the eagle with the fangs on it, so like that. Like and everybody's like they don't have fangs. So that
was funny though.
Like, it was like, okay, yeah, it made sense for somebody who doesn't know how to use a computer, who doesn't do anything. So
Johnny is clueless. Some of that stuff
he would definitely come up with. He would absolutely come up with that. That is on point for his character. He would definitely come up with that kind of concept.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to say, like, speaking of somebody who's been, I opened up my school in 2007. I was teaching out of various places before I found my brick and mortar. But we were peaceful warriors martial arts. That's what we used to be.
Right.
And it was an oxymoron in the name, and nobody really but me understood what it meant. Hence, bumbling along for 8-9 years with under 100 students, and now we're well past 100 students because we rebranded a few years ago. We're like, okay, peaceful warriors martial arts makes no sense. Not just the aesthetics in the actual school itself was like romper room with blue walls and red walls and didn't look very professional. And the logo was designed and it was professional, but it was outdated logo. Right, it was a circle with a tiger, a silhouetted tiger and dragon, and it's yin yang. It's been done to death, right? Like everybody has the same. So it wasn't timeless. It wasn't unique. It was the same thing everybody's been doing for 40 years. Okay. So we refocused to focus martial arts because I said,
Right.
what do we, what's our main goal? What do we do? What do we teach? We teach focus. We say it 1,700 times a day. With focus, you can do anything. You can accomplish anything. So we just changed to focus martial arts. And immediately everybody's like, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There was always the parents and some of the students in the school who went through the change with us. They're like, well, why are you changing it? Why are you changing it? We said, well, you're a parent. What do you want your kid to learn here? What do you want your kid to take from this? Do you need him to be a butt kicker in the playground? Or do you need him to pay attention better to you in school, you and at
Right.
school? You want to be able to focus more on his schoolwork or pay attention to you when you're talking, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, so if you're a parent and you see two schools and there's Rising, Dragon, Phoenix, this, and Focus Martial Arts, which one are you going to gravitate to? Which one tells you what that school is going to teach your kid?
Yeah, and it's a single word. It's more market
definitely
friendly
helps.
too. Yeah.
It definitely helps. Logo friendly, market friendly.
Yeah.
It's easier to put on a cup as well as a t-shirt. It's a lot easier. The logo is a lot more simplified and it's very modern, but it's also timeless. You can use it for a long period of time, not to redesign it. So that also helped. It's down to just the 3 colors, really 2. So it's a lot easier to deal with, and people got it a lot more. So, I was there. I was the Eagle Fang, karate. 10 years ago. I was like going back to Karate Kid with Johnny. I was there. I grew up, in the 80s. I started martial arts in the 80s. Karate Kid was a heavy influence for me to study martial arts. I started right before the movie came out, but not long before the movie came out. And then once it came out, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm doing this right because look, he's doing this too. So it definitely played for me. That whole Cobra Kai, and they got the cut off sleeves and those are the bad.
I'm sure
guys.
you were doing the crane kick when you were a kid too, all over the place.
We were crane kicking all over the place. We were wax on, wax off, and all over the joint. It was crazy. Crazy. Yeah, it was funny. Then
how many kids probably broke their legs trying to do a crane kick?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. But then, of course, on the flip side, the instructors are like, "Yeah, this is great. I can make these kids clean my dojo for free." And they're gonna call it part of the training because that's what it was back then, and it's still kind of like that in a lot of schools now. We worked hard to not do that.
I heard that more karate dojos opened up after the movie a lot more.
Oh yeah, it definitely, and that always happens. And the same thing happened when the Cobra Kai series came out.
Yeah,
they jump on it. They definitely jump on the popularity of it. But the problem with that, especially with the Cobra Kai series, like it's focused a lot on the bad guys.
Right.
So is it the greatest advertisement for martial arts? Like these kids, you said, most of these kids would have been arrested by now. Like you said, is this really the greatest advertisement?
What else could they call the show, though? I mean, they couldn't call it Karate Kid anymore.
No. The Cobra Kai is perfect. It's absolutely perfect name. It's just as an advertisement for martial arts, it's not the best. It's
but
not
it kind of does because Johnny realizes what he's doing is wrong.
Yes. So the last season, right?
In a way, yeah.
The first season, not as much.
No.
First season, he was ready to bloody his students up and didn't care and just make them go out there and terrorize the neighborhood essentially. So it was kind of like that was what it was ever. So it's definitely shifted in the last season, which
the first season is a little bit more adult because there's a lot more profanity and there's a couple. I think I heard a couple of F words there, and
but on YouTube, when it shifted it over, when
they went to Netflix, it kind of calmed down a little bit on that.
Yeah, it definitely made it a little bit more family friendly, and I'm happy about that. I do like that. The original movies were way more family friendly than the first season of Cobra Kai. As an adult, I'm okay with watching it, but I want my son to watch it. I want my son to be able to watch the original Karate Kid as much as I'd like him to watch Cobra Kai because it's what I love.
My kids actually have seen all of the Karate Kid movies. Yeah,
and the movies are good. Like the movies can definitely play to kids.
They still like it.
There's no adult theme.
I mean, they all hate the third one though.
So why do they hate the third one? That one, I mean, obviously the fourth one gets a really bad rap for a good reason, but why does the third one get such a bad rap?
It's just like the story is just a retread. A lot of the same beats are there.
I've got to fight him in the tournament. Yep.
And then besides Terry Silver, the other Cobra Kai members weren't really that engaging to me.
No, it was pretty much just Terry and his protege, which really
and then
not to worry
and
about.
then like the love interest thing didn't go anywhere.
No, she was just like worried about her old boyfriend and things like that. Yeah, that was a sharp change from Allie. You know what I mean?
And you could tell that Ralph was like almost 30 in that, I think.
Yeah, he was getting older. He wasn't the Karate Kid anymore.
Yeah,
he was almost a karate middle-aged man.
yeah, and I don't know, like he gained a lot of weight, I think, in that.
He did put on a few. He put on a few, and yeah, he was definitely showing his age. Not just in the face, but his moves and his being able to move. And I think for me, the lack of continuity with the girlfriends,
right?
Like Allie was gone after the first one, then Kumiko's gone after the second one. You know what I mean? Now it's like I got another one to worry about. He's got yet another one to woo during this movie, and there's no it's no like, hey, she's, even if it's not Allie, let's say it's Kumiko comes back with him like she was going to, and now there's a continuity of them together, and you're seeing them as their relationship grows and goes to it together, and he's now has to fight this guy.
He didn't have his Adrian like Rocky did.
Yeah, exactly. There was no continuity there. Like Adrian with Rocky the whole time, right? And you didn't. You had to look at another budding relationship. There's another B story throughout this movie that was like picking up again. And we were talking about this with Spider-Man. It's like, I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
Right.
I mean, I don't need to see him get bit by the spider again. I get that.
After a while, you get the same thing with the Batman. How many times are you going to see his parents die?
Really? those pearls hit the ground one more time, I'm out. We don't need it. But again, it speaks to the fact that every Batman is somebody's first Batman, right? That's the Stan Lee motto, right? Everybody's confident with somebody's.
The next time you die, you'll actually see the bullet entering their skull or something.
Yeah, it takes them out.
Slow-mo.
I mean, it's a good way to take Negan out, right? Because that's who we want. That's who gets played by. And I did see. I don't know if you ever saw the conventions. People were posting photos, and it was like there was like a couple. Like every time they come up with like a Batman, they literally be parents on the ground with a sign. Like every time they lie down. How many pictures of Batman can we take? That's
a genius cosplay right there.
Really good. Like I like that. Because there's so many. Going into cosplay talk and conventions, there's so many Deadpools, there's so many Harley Quinns, there's so many Star Wars characters, like
so many Darth Vaders.
You got to get something, Boba Fett's obviously, sort of now it's gonna be all Mandalorians. Like you got to be able to get, I like when they get inventive and they get creative.
Did you see that recent cosplay picture that went around with like the guys? It's like WandaVision and half their body is like black and white,
half of them is colored.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Awesome. Yeah, and they had that girl who did the Mystique,
right?
Half Mystique and half the Army soldier. Like
that was a good one too.
Not just Mystique, right? Like we've seen a million people just being Mystique. See a Mystique mid transformation. Like if you're gonna do a character everybody's done, do it a more creative way. And now
some of these cosplayers, sometimes I think they're better than the movie versions that they do.
There's, I mean, did you see that guy who did Apocalypse? Who was like a full-blown, full-size Apocalypse costume?
Yes.
Way better than that last X-Men movie.
Well, that movie had a lot of problems.
That movie had a lot of problems. He was maybe the least of the problem, but he was definitely a problem.
Yeah.
Because he didn't look like it. I remember the original test footages. He looked like the guy from Power Rangers. He looked like the purple guy with the tentacle coming off his chin from Power Rangers. Like, they color changed him to make him more blue. Nobody picked up on that.
This is the writer inside me. I'm gonna guess what the next season of Cobra Kai will be like.
All right.
Okay. Not this current one. The next season.
Season 5.
I think what they'll do is they'll go international. Okay. They're not gonna keep it all Valley. They're gonna do the nationwide tournament, if there is such a thing like that for them in their universe.
Sure. I mean, you got to have like a U.S. Open or something where it's, it's everybody draws from all over the place.
And I, in my opinion, what I would do is in that international tournament, you'll see that Hilary Swank has her own dojo that's teaching her Miyagi-Do. And then you have Daniel competing against her Miyagi-Do to see which one is the best Miyagi-Do.
That would be cool. That or if they teamed up or something like
Or
now the
something.
Miyagi-Dos are teaming up.
And in part 3 they were hinting that Terry Silver wanted to make Cobra Kai nationwide, like dojos everywhere.
Yeah, like because that's what they talked about before, right? From the original movie. They were
I
gonna
don't know
open
if he
up
ever
a chain.
did.
No, right? Because he got defeated, so they're like, okay, that killed that. They were gonna open up Cobra Kai's all over the valley. At first, it was just
Right.
gonna be all over the valley.
Yeah, but you see, like he said that Cobra Kai would leave the valley if they lost.
Right. So they're just open up all
So-
over the nation except for the valley.
So what if that's what he does? When he loses, they set up all over the place instead.
That would
think
be
that's-
pretty cool. That would be
think
cool.
that's-
Almost like akin to the new Jurassic World, right? Like they're out there now, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Now there's Cobra Kai dojos everywhere. Like try to contain it. Try to contain them.
And if they want, they can even bring in Will Smith's son. He has his own dojo in California somewhere.
As much as I didn't like that movie for continuity, I wouldn't mind. I don't want him necessarily to come through a multiverse portal, but I still, like, you know what I mean? Like I still think that would be kind of a nice nod.
Technically, he could still be in that universe,
Sure.
He's not playing Daniel,
Right. I mean, even though he had a Miyagi, but it's I'm not saying it's a common name. I don't know, but I'm sure there's probably more. They made more than one. You know what I mean?
It'd be like, Batman versus Superman. You had a sensei named Miyagi too.
Yes, exactly. Like that would be pretty cool.
I mean, and Will Smith is still a producer on the show, so
yeah,
possible.
That's true. Yeah, it's interesting. It is not endless, but it's got so many places it could go and go well. Just as long as they keep the writing strong and they don't try to jump the shark too fast.
Maybe one more season tops, because I think after that it's gonna just.
So what do you think? 5 total? 5? Are you?
Yeah, I
you
think
down for
5.
5 total?
5
I'm with you.
good.
I think you start get to 6 and 7. I know everybody wants 7. That's kind of like the golden number. 7 seasons and you're good. Like once you hit that 7, and I don't know if that's a numbers thing because you hit over 100 episodes when you get to 7.
Right, but this
depending on
streaming days, you can do anything now. You don't even need syndication anymore. Right.
Exactly. So it doesn't really matter. 2-3 seasons and you're good. You know what I mean? That thing will sit on streaming services forever. So, I think you're right though. I think if they start getting past 5, you're really grasping at straws because you're really trying to pull all the references from the first couple of movies. There's only 3. You can do the 4th one. You could do the Jaden Smith one, but after that, you're really pulling stuff that was not there. You're making connective tissue to things that weren't actually there.
I'm not too versed in the whole martial arts world. Is there a competition between karate and Taekwondo and other different martial arts? Do they ever do that?
Very rarely. So you'll have like Taekwondo specific tournaments. You'll have karate tournaments, but you'll have some kung fu in there.
Right.
And definitely different styles of karate, right? Shotokan, Kempo. They'll all play within the same, because things are very similar. But it still becomes difficult when you're in the tournament world because train differently, and not just that their forms are different, but their style of sparring can be different. We were actually having this discussion the other day. Some of the students and I, some of the adult students who, like me, my age, went through the martial arts and tournaments during the 80s and 90s before they became really political. And if you weren't wearing the right uniform, you weren't going to win, especially at the black belt level. You would just. It was tough because you go in there with just a really great, solid, traditional form, which is, not acrobatic. There's not flips. You're not jumping around. You're doing quote unquote more realistic moves, hard stances, punches. And then you get the kung fu people in there. Nothing against kung fu, but they're flipping and jumping and twirling.
Right. Yeah.
None of that actually works in a real self-defense situation. I'm not saying karate is the end all be all. Of course, every style has good and bad. But it's like, well, I'm not going to win because the judges just see that as more difficult because this guy's doing backflips and landing in a split. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course he's going to win. That kind of like it defeats the purpose,
Right.
So try to get to the tournaments that are very specialized. It's a Shotokan tournament, it's a Kempo tournament, things like that. Because then you have a little bit more of a fair shake. Taekwondo. Taekwondo is very segregated. They're very traditional. And they really kind of keep to their own. It's done.
My kids take Taekwondo.
Yeah, the massive organizations tend to keep to their own. You know what I mean? There's a lot more associations when it comes to Taekwondo, and then of course the major ones, like the Cookie one, who like they don't veer. You know what I mean? Or there's ATA, and they don't veer outside of the ATA. You know what I mean? Like you're there, you can't even put like badges on a uniform, things like that. So you know, there's definitely that stuff that still exists. It's all great. I mean, it's as long as you're doing what you love and you're getting out there and you're doing your tournament and having fun doing it. Really, that's all that matters. Right. You know, I stopped doing it because, like I said, people were just like, if I'm not wearing the John Paul Mitchell team uniform, they're huge, especially in New England, but all over. Yeah, you know, wearing a black and white uniform with the John Paul Mitchell logo. It's like, yeah, forget it, because I've seen their black belts almost fall off the stage and still win. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and the next guy, you know, after them was far better that day at that tournament. Was better, but the other person still won because their whatever teammate, their organization's sponsoring the tournament. It's like, have you
seen the Cobra Kai video game?
No, I saw the preview for it. I haven't actually like gotten to play, like actually seen it. I think I saw it online.
It's crazy. They're throwing fireballs at each other. It's like Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. It really is. It's just Street Fighter. You can't just have them kicking a punch and a crane kicking. It's this day and age not going to be interesting enough for kids to.
They're charging up like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they're going to play it to the they're going to do everything with with.
But there's an in-game explanation for all that.
Is there? Because like I said, I haven't played it. So you got to tell me what's the in-game explanation? I have to know why they're throwing fireballs.
It's the imagination of two of the characters relaying the story to a principal in the school. Okay. So basically, it's their imagination doing all that stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, they're definitely taking some creative license with what happened. Got it. All right. I guess that makes sense. I guess we can swallow that. That's okay. As long as they're not pretending it's really happening, then I'm okay with that.
What if at the end of season 5, you got like Van Damme come up in the shadows like Nick Fury and say like, I want you to join the Kumite.
I think he'd be down for that. Like he's made a big resurgence and really gotten back out there. I think he'd be down for that.
Next season you see like Johnny joining the Kumite and fighting in the underground fighting tournaments.
Awesome. That would be awesome. Like Steven Seagal comes lumbering out.
Oh man.
He's the ref at this point. Like he's just gonna ref at this point. He's not gonna be doing anything. Like at least Van Damme can still kind of kick and get out there, and he's still jumping around a little bit. Seagal's not really jumping much of it these days.
Chuck ain't gonna be doing that though.
I don't know. I'm not gonna put anything past Chuck. He's been doing a lot. Like he's not moving as much as he was, but man, that guy's just never ending. You know, and I hate to say because I don't want it to be like
he tried to do his own version of Karate Kid in the 90s. I don't know if you saw that movie. Yeah, Sidekick.
Yeah. Tragic with Jonathan Brandis. Yeah, tragic what happened to him, but like I love that movie. That is to me, even though it's kind of cheesy, that's a rewatchable movie for me. Maybe it's because I take martial arts. Maybe it's because I study, but it's a rewatchable movie for me.
Yeah, and the villain was so much like Cobra Kai. The villain.
Yeah. Joe Piscopo.
Yeah.
Like that was classic. That was classic Joe Piscopo. And then they kicked him and he goes flipping backwards multiple times, flipping. Yeah. Like it was fun. Like that was and they had he had his daydreams. It was like him and together they're ninjas and they're doing all their different things. Like that was just a fun movie. You know, I wish, obviously everybody wishes that nothing happened to him, what did happen to him, but like I would have loved to almost seen a second one. You know what I mean? Yeah. Follow up to that. Like, they did 3 or 4 of those ninja kids, you know what I mean?
Three ninjas.
Three ninjas kick back. They had those. Like you could have easily done at least one more of the sidekicks.
But those movies were made for $5 each or something.
Yeah, pretty much, and they were great for what they were. I mean, as for my business, those movies got kids into doing martial arts.
Yeah,
even more than like a Karate Kid, even though Karate Kid had a bigger fame. You know what I mean? Like those kids, because those kept coming at you. So like when you do those kind of things, it plays more to younger kids. Like I want to do this, and those movies are great to sort of push out there as like, yeah, you see that 3 ninjas? You could do that. Now most schools don't do movie nights anymore. No, everybody used to do like movie nights with their students, and it's wildly illegal, and people are more litigious these days. So you're better off not having movie night at your school. We stopped them years ago.
Well, you should do movie night at your school.
So we used to a lot, and it's
Mm.
so illegal, and like it's very chancy because you can get you get one parent who's whatever got something up their butt, and they don't want to they're like, this guy's promoting a movie at his school, and even if you don't charge for it,
Mhm.
you can still get banged for doing it. So
Yeah.
you bet off. And then what ended up happening, what we found was that we have it, and you want to run events that plays to everybody. So we have 3.5 to up, right? Like, so our we have a little kids program that's 3.5 to 6-year-olds, and then 7 to 12. Then it's teens after
Right.
that. Right? So generally it's like the 4-year-olds to 12-year-olds we have events for. We do a free event every month, but we broke it up. We learned a couple of years ago to break it up. We used to do one event for everybody. But even if you're doing dodgeball, it's really hard to have a 4-year-old in the room when a 12-year-old is beating them with a dodgeball in the face. So we break it up. The 4 to 6-year-olds and the 7 to 12-year-olds do their own events on the same night, just 2 hours instead of 3 or 4. I don't have to feed them. Just give them some cotton. We make in-house cotton candy, and that's it, and you go home. And they're always free. The movie nights, some kids would pay attention, and the younger kids would just start getting up and wandering. We were feeding the pizza, which costs money, and you'd lose half of them. Even if you're watching a kid, a Pixar movie or something like that. You could watch Frozen, but they've seen it 100 times. By the time you get it on a DVD to shine up on your bed, I had a big 91-inch, pull down screen and a projector, right, with a decent sound system. So sound and looked awesome, but like kids are like, yeah, I've seen this 100 times. You start getting fidgety and wandering away, like, all right, this isn't working anymore. So we went to all like activity nights.
Oh,
so we do like Nerf night, we do dodgeball nights, we do Saber Wars nights and Wizarding nights, and we're doing you probably know there's a game now called Among Us.
Oh yes.
So we're doing Among Them.
Oh,
there's a company that does these parent night out kits. They sell you these kits, and they have all the games and videos and they teach you how to do it. They do all the social media for you, and so they have to obviously make it so that you don't get sued. So it's Among Them, but the kids all recognize what it is. So they all know. So we're selling that one out real quick.
There was a recent martial arts movie that kind of reminded me of Karate Kid. Also, let me see if I can find that movie. Hold on. I don't know if you saw it. It starred Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, what was the name?
He was basically getting his butt kicked most of the movie.
Yeah, he was getting his butt kicked, and he went to go learn martial arts. Oh, The Art of Self-Defense. That's the movie.
Yeah. It didn't paint the instructors in the best of lights.
No. That took a weird turn.
It did. It did take a really weird turn. I'm
really?
Like, it was definitely not a good advertisement for movies. However, I will say there are still instructors like that.
Really?
There really are. Like,
those guys
martial
are
arts industry, they are. I've been in martial arts for a long time. I grew up in the 80s, and the biggest issue we have in the martial arts is it's 90% ego. Right? It's I'm the grandmaster or head instructor, blah, 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 blah. Nobody can do it better than me. Bow down, clean my school for free, teach for free because you're just lucky that I let you train here.
Right.
Like, what year is this? It doesn't work that way with millennials, and it just doesn't work that way anymore.
They weren't serial killers like that guy.
No, they weren't like that. But there's been some shady dudes. There's been some shady, like in the news, I've heard of some shady guys who are like doing not very good things, and then kind of almost like popping up, open a shop, do some really bad stuff, close down, and go open up somewhere else. But, what I mean? So there's some not great, and it puts a bad spot on the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the movie started out I thought it was going to be a comedy, and then whoa, it's like
dark turn. Dark turn. Yeah, it wasn't great. Like, it was fun in the beginning. I was like, where's this going? I don't understand where this movie is going. It was almost a disconnect.
Yeah.
Like the first half, I
wanted to get your opinion since you do martial arts. What would you think of that movie? I'm like, it was weird.
The instruction in the beginning was kind of like, yeah, okay, I get this. I remember going through this in the 80s because it was very much like that. Like I said, I was 8-9 years old when I started, but there was no kids classes. Right. Everybody trained together.
Yeah.
Right. Kids and adults. So I was defending and sparring adults. And they. Obviously, they're not going to annihilate you. I'm still alive, so they didn't kill us. But my instructor would kick us in the back of the legs, 9 years old to make her stand, and hard too. They'd punch you in the stomach, so like that.
You
to make
can't do
you
that
heat
now at all.
You'd be sued and shut down in 2 seconds.
I know.
I tell my students this all the time, and I try not to do the whole back in my day. But my first test when I was like 8.5, 9, because it was 6 months. Every 6 months you tested. Now it's every 4 because we have a shorter attention span, so we can't deal with 6 months of progress. Now it's every 4, right? So you just add in more belts, just so it's the same time from white to black, 4.5 to 5 years, but it's just more graduations in between. But it was 6 months in between. So I took my first test. It was a Thursday night because tests only happened on the third Thursday of every month. Started at 8 o'clock at night after the open class, which we had from 7 to 8, which you had to go to, by the way. Then you stayed for your test. My first test started at 8 o'clock at night. I called my mother to come pick me up at a little after 12 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And guess who had to go to school the next day? Because I was 9.
Yeah, wow.
Try getting one of your kids at a test from 8 to midnight on a Thursday night.
No.
4-hour test, no water, no water breaks.
Yeah.
Close the door. That door didn't open again. Nobody can view the test.
It's like a real Cobra Kai back then, huh?
It really was. And it lasted like that for a long time. And the school's still there, but they do things differently now, just like most people do. But they had this big, huge heater that hung from the ceiling. And if you weren't performing, they'd turn the heater on.
You think they got sued?
No. I still know he's still my instructor. He's still one of my main instructors. I talk to him all the time. No, they just kind of evolved. Just because you see the way, the industry moves, you see the way, and not as much as probably he should. And I love him to pieces, but like he has maybe 200 students at best. But he's been there 46 years. Mm-hmm. For a school that's been there for 46 years, they should have more students. He also like the town I grew up in it's an affluent town. And it's a big town. It's like 17 square miles. Like there's a lot of people in that town. So he should have more. But part of his thing is he's a bit old school. He's still a bit old school.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's very ego driven or personality driven. Mm-hmm. It's a personality based business. And like I said, he's been there for 46 years. We talk about this all the time with my instructors in my school because my school was like that. And I'm working super hard to stop it being like that. You know what I mean? Certainly not a Cobra Kai, but even like, Daniel runs, the Miyagi-Do.
Right.
What happens to that school and those students when he doesn't want to do it anymore?
Exactly.
What would happen to that school, and this is what I had to learn, what would happen if he got injured or sick and couldn't teach for 6 months or a year?
Well, I mean, I think the daughter would take over teaching.
She'd have to, but it's still not Daniel.
Right.
So now take it to my business where I'm the head instructor. Everybody knows me. All the parents know me. They sign up with me. They get me on the phone calls. I'm the one who answers all the emails. I'm the one who teaches the classes, although now we have other instructors who will teach it without me. So I'm able to break away a little bit more. But but I'm still there in presence. So, but if I got sick or injured and couldn't step in or couldn't do things for 6 months to a year, we'd have to close because people would just be like, the head instructor's not here. The 6th degree black belt isn't here. We're dealing with 1st degree and 2nd degree and maybe a 3rd degree here and there.
Right.
We have to turn it to a business where the instructors teach it better than me.
Right.
The students and parents identify better with them and they barely know me. Otherwise, I'll be 75 years old still, getting a walker out, getting onto those mats, having to teach.
Well, I've seen some classes like that, actually.
Mm-hmm. Because the instructors are so ego-driven. They're the only ones who can do it right. And they didn't. So I'm 45, going to be 46 next month. Mm-hmm. I'm already starting to work on my exit strategy, which isn't going to happen for at least 15 to 20 years.
Right.
I mean, minimum, 15 years, probably 20. But
you're training your replacement, right?
I have to.
Yeah.
Because that takes a decade or more to get somebody who is trustworthy, who knows and wants to make it their livelihood. Yeah. Right, well, who may own part of the business and has a stake in the business. Because if it's just a job, then it's just a job. If they don't have any stake in the game, if they don't have any skin in the game, why would they stay? If you don't make it a company, especially now with the Great Resignation, if you don't make it a company people want to work for, you're done for. You're gonna close it down when you retire. There's nothing beyond that. When I would rather be able to, give somebody else like 50% or 51% of the business, and I still have passive income coming in.
Right.
They can be a controlling owner, but I'm still there and I can still help out with like the creativity part of it. You know what I mean? The helping them, but I don't have to be there every day. I can teach when I want, come in, teach, do the black belt testing if I want to.
Right.
And that's it. After 37 years 30 years of teaching, it's about time to start working towards that.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll be 70 years old going like, hey, am I planning on retiring? Nope, I have nobody to take this over. All right, back on the mats, open the doors, teach the classes, shut the lights off, go home. 7 days a week.
When the pandemic hit, were you doing online classes?
So we still are actually. We shifted before they told us to get out. So we're in Massachusetts, so in every state was different. We saw the writing on the walls. We saw them like, all right, you can have 50 people in per whatever. You can have 25. You can have 10. We knew like next week it's just going to be 0. Get out. We knew. So we luckily by the grace of God, I have a lot of background in technology. With web stuff, web design, in the whole video, things like video edit. So I was able to quickly adapt, buy the right cameras, get the right video stuff, get the green screen background, lights, everything I needed for myself and my other head instructor. So we split the duties. And she was at her school, her house, and I was at my house, in my apartment. This room that I'm sitting in now, my dining room, turned into a giant 3-walled green screen. And I even green screened the floor with those puzzle mats that were lime green. So before we left, I took a picture of the dojo. When I'm doing my Zoom classes, I looked like I was staying in the dojo, and half the people thought I was still there. I'm like, no, I'm at my house. I turn off the virtual background. Like, oh my god, they thought I was still there because it looked that good. We made sure the audio was good. We had mics, we had the cameras, we did the highest end cameras because we knew it wasn't going to be 2 days and done. We knew this was going to go on for a while, so we ran full on Zoom because we lost about 25 to 30% of the industry throughout this because there was a lot of ego-driven people who are like, Zoom, it's karate can't, martial arts can't be taught that way.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't have a choice. It's either run it this way, figure it out and run it, or just close down, and a lot of them did. Begrudgingly, but they're like, well, it's not going to last a week. Parents will suffer a week or 2 of it, of no classes. They're not going to suffer 6 months and still pay you. You have to adapt, otherwise and they did. They closed. I had people calling me 7 months in, like, hey, are you doing that Zoom? What about that Zoom? Do you think I should do the Zoom? Like, what do you mean? It's 7 months since we've been out of our schools. What have you been doing? They were just like posting up like YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But I can get those for free and not pay you $189 a month. I can just go on YouTube and look up martial arts and do it for free. How is anybody still paying you? It was too little too late. Like, you got to get past yourself and understand that, you're right. Karate's not meant to be taught via Zoom. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's what you've been given, so figure it out.
Yeah.
If I have to teach rooftop to rooftop, I'm going to teach rooftop to rooftop. It is what it is. It's what I've been given, and I want my business to succeed, so I got to do it.
But is it allowed if you're like teaching an open space, like in a park?
So it was at some point, but we're back in. Not this past June, the June before, we were able to go back in. Right, okay. So it was like March to June, but then it was limited capacity and a lot of restrictions, 6 feet apart. Right. So we took our mats, we duct tape, we used white tape to cordon off 6-foot squares, and you had everybody like checkerboarded, so they weren't even like 6-foot squares next to each other, like diagonally you could be. Yeah. It was more, so kids weren't getting near. You had to put your water bottle on your square. You couldn't run and go get your water bottle. We're still wearing masks at the school. In a lot of states, people aren't. I know guys down in Florida, friends of mine, people have a choice. You can wear them or not. We don't give a choice right now because our school districts are still wearing masks. Like the school districts we are in the state, they're still masked up. So we're following the schools.
And if you have vaccine, you can probably like not wear masks too, right?
So we do for teen and adults. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. You can choose to. You can choose. Some kids do. Most of them don't. We don't as instructors. But when all the kids are there, everybody's wearing a mask, vaccinated or not, because there's still now with the new, there's been an upswing because it's winter time and the numbers go up.
Right.
It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. But so we're still, and we get flack for it every once in a while, like online. We post a video. We're always posting on our Instagram. People are like, take the mask off the kids. You're killing them. Like, dude, you're killing me. I'm just a small business and I'm trying to do what I can do to keep the families in my school safe. Yeah. Right? This is what I've been told to do by the government. I could defy them and get shut down or fined. Or I could just do what they asked me to do and keep my business going. Because at the beginning, we lost 25% of our memberships.
Right.
Between people losing their jobs, right? So they didn't have money coming in, so they're obviously can't get to pay for karate. And there were just some of the younger kids who Zoom just didn't work for them. You know, we have a lot of kids with autism and things like that, so it was tough for them to deal with the Zoom, which I understand. Or just a 3.5, 6-year-old group that was hit hard. But we gained new students during it, and now we have more students now than prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, you know, we've definitely bounced back and then some since then, and we've been back in, and we're pretty much running at full capacity, but with the masks on. That's it. That's our only restriction right now is everybody's wearing the mask. But other than that, it's full on open. We're back to sparring, doing techniques on each other. So, it's a good day, and we're looking forward to the future because we need to. You know, but you're right. Like, karate wasn't meant to be done on Zoom. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough when if you're one instructor and you have a Zoom class of 30 kids. And I tell you, let's pretend you're a 5-year-old. Okay, move to your left. Right? I can reverse my camera. I have a program that reverses the camera. So I can actually point to my left and it points to their left on their screen. You have to, right? Because kids that age 9 times out of 10, they don't know their left and right. You can point, but you have to give everybody, okay, everybody turn to your left. And I have to go, okay, you turn to that blue door over there. Okay, you turn to the lamp over there. You turn to the chair over there. So everybody needs a different point of reference. When you're all in the dojo, everybody turn to the window wall, which is right there. And everybody turns to the wall. But when you're on Zoom, it's 30 different points of reference every time you need to make them move something.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It takes a lot longer. We got good at it because we had to. You know what I mean? We trained, the staff and I trained vigorously on getting good at it, so we didn't lose more than 25. Because I know people who lost a lot more students. You know, I know instructors who I've been talking to who prior to the pandemic had way more students than I did, and now have less. Even after all the time, they're still down lower than I am. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You know, but I know they didn't jump on it. They're like resistant to it. Even my instructor was very resistant to it. Like, okay, you can be, but at the end of the day, it's what's going to help save your business right now. It's not the ideal thing, but it's what you have to work with.
Yeah. Going back to Karate Kid, when I was a kid watching that movie, and I looked at the credits of the movie, and it kept on saying like special thanks to DC Comics, and I was like, what? Then I looked it up. There's a Karate Kid in DC too. Yeah. And they had to borrow the name for the movie. Yep. Yeah.
It was pretty interesting, right? So they had the Karate Kid, and he's and it's so funny. It's like they're so referenced from each other, like different aspects. Whenever you have any of the martial arts characters, right? Shang-Chi is a very Bruce Lee version. In G.I. Joe, we had Quick Kick.
Yeah.
Remember Quick Kick? He was one of my favorites. Right. Yeah. And that's a very Bruce Lee type character. Right. So everything was referenced, and like the original Karate Kid from the DC stuff was very much the same. Like everybody knew Bruce Lee. So it was like, all right, that's basically a Bruce Lee character. Let's just,
the last Mortal Kombat game had like Rambo and RoboCop.
Yeah, I have it.
And Terminator. I was hoping they would have a Karate Kid come in there.
I mean, wouldn't that be cool? I thought that would be cool. They had Spawn. They had, like you said, they had Terminator, they had Rambo, they had RoboCop.
Can you imagine that character of Daniel in there? He'd be like, what?
What do I do? He just whacks on and whacks off, and he's trying to do a crane kick, and you know what I mean? Sub-Zero just freezes him and destroys him. I think that would be funny. To get the license obviously would be really hard, but I think like I want more.
I think, isn't that owned by Warner Brothers? I don't know.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I thought it was a Warner Brothers. I can look it up now, but I'm pretty sure
Terminator is not owned by Warner Brothers, is it?
Or is it Universal? Are they Universal? Or Columbia? Columbia, I think it's Universal. I think it's
the Warner Brothers property because most of the characters are in, like, they have a lot of, like, Injustice did stuff with the Mortal Kombat people.
Yes.
So I'm thinking maybe they got a connection there.
Yeah, and some of it's just what I like now. Speaking to what you're saying is, I like these studios and companies finally working together.
Right.
Like Marvel and Sony, right? The Disney and Sony working together for Spider-Man with the Avengers. Like, it's about time. Like, I understand with lawyers get involved, it can be really tricky, and everybody wants the biggest piece of the pie. But at some point, you just got to figure it out, because you're going to make more money than you can dream
Exactly.
of if you can just get past yourself and
Right.
work the deal. Get that deal made. You're going to just back up the Brinks truck because it's just going to happen. But they
Yeah.
get so ego driven, like, no, we can't do this. Why? And you can't have this property. It's ours. It doesn't make any sense. And I think Marvel set that tone with Sony and pace. Like, yeah, this can be done. We can do
Right.
this.
Right.
You know.
I don't
so
know if you saw this movie. It's a pretty underrated movie, but I thought if they had given it a little bit more budget and put it in theaters, it probably would have made hundreds of millions of dollars. Did you ever see Batman meets the Ninja Turtles?
Yes. Yes.
I love that movie.
Yeah. It was good. It was really good, right? You gotta. That's it. Again,
I thought that they lost the opportunity by going direct, to DVD with that. They should have released that in theaters.
I mean, it was a comic book series, right? It started out as a comic book series. They had that, and then of course they made the movie out of it. And there's so many properties like that. Batman, Turtles, like it's like a natural thing, and it worked. Like it worked. It definitely should have been better.
It was hilarious too.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was really good. I enjoyed that. I have it on my iTunes.
Yeah,
and it's just because I have all of them. My wife's like, I didn't know I was going to marry a guy who's going to have that many Batman shows on his iTunes. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, are you excited for the Flash movie with Keaton and Affleck together?
I'm way more excited for that than I am the Batman.
Yes, that's what I did in my podcast. I talked about that too. I said
I'm far more excited. So
yeah.
One of the things I have to work on my podcast is not referencing the Nolan Batman every single podcast, because I tend to. My co-host Mila, we talk about it. We have this battle every time because that's her Batman. Like as movies go,
right?
She was at the right age to watch the Nolanverse stuff, and I can't stand the Nolanverse stuff except for Heath Ledger's performance. And the first movie wasn't bad.
I'm not a big Nolan fan in general. I'm
not either. I know people like him and he's probably a good director, but he's just not my director. He's not my style. I don't really care for his style, and I just didn't care for his Batman. It was too cop in a cape. It didn't, it wasn't fantasy enough. It wasn't comic book enough for me. It was too hyper realistic of like, this guy could really do it. No, he's Batman. He's a rich guy who creates crazy gadgets and cars and things like that and fights crime in a bat suit. Why are you trying to make this realistic? Why are you making Bane look realistic and not just some big dude who hits the thing on his chest and he grows large like the Hulk? They're doing it over at Marvel. You can do it too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It'll be way more realistic to what people have known and seen in the properties. So why not just do it? But that's not what he wanted to do. They let him run with it. And that's been the DC's problem is in Warner Bros. They have no direction.
No.
It's like, all right, this is a great director. Nolan's a great director. Let him do whatever he wants with the property. Yeah. Whereas Marvel has great directors, but they don't get it past Feige. It's not happening.
Yeah.
You're not sticking to the script of this movie series and the look and tone of what we're doing for this universe. I don't care how good you are. It's not happening.
I like Affleck as Batman. Yeah.
I liked Affleck as Batman way better than Christian Bale. Yeah. And people were and I know everybody was as upset about it as they were Michael Keaton. Mm-hmm. Right, Michael Keaton broke the internet when there was no internet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm glad he's coming back.
I'm so happy he's coming back. And I hope he comes back for more than that. Like if they don't get off their duff and do a Batman Beyond with him as older Bruce Wayne, you're missing a trick. You're leaving money on the table if you don't do Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton.
And I know they're doing Batgirl now. I don't know why they would do that straight to streaming. That doesn't make any sense.
Straight to streaming, and apparently has nothing to do with the current iteration of the DCEU.
I hear that it's the same Commissioner Gordon from Justice League.
Yes, but I don't know if they're going to reference anything from the DCEU other than it's the same. It's J.K. Simmons, who apparently is in everything these days. Yeah. He's in everything.
In Ghostbusters too.
He was in Ghostbusters. Like that is him. He was in Ghostbusters. Like he's in everything.
The dude is jacked. Have you seen him in the gym?
Yes.
I was surprised.
For a guy his age, he is rocking. I mean, he's got me beat by a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I like seeing him because I think he's wonderful at what he does. And he can do a Commissioner Gordon and be a J. Jonah Jameson. You know what I mean? He can do that. And it's like, it's like when he did Evo Chandler, he's like, almost didn't recognize it was him.
Yeah.
Like even like I said, Mila was with me, my co-host, and she's like, "That was him." I'm like, yeah, that was him. He does so well. Like,
He's a
he definitely,
chameleon.
he really is. But man, so I like seeing him in different things. So I'm glad he's going to be the Commissioner Gordon in Batgirl.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the movie. I think it's going to be good. I think it's definitely, I think hopefully they got it dialed in and they understand what's happening. But I wish DC or Warner Bros. Would get more on board.
They need a Feige there. They need a Feige.
They do. They have none. They've tried. Yeah. They had Jeff Johns. They got rid of him. Like Jim Lee's doing like sort of an overall thing, but they don't have a Feige to handle all of their movie stuff and unify.
What did you think of the Snyder Cut?
I'm glad it exists. I wanted better, but it was sort of like what he had to work with because I'm not a huge Snyder fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm for 300, his style works.
Right.
For DC characters, his style does not work.
Compared to the Joss Whedon cut, I think it was 100% better.
Yeah, thank God we have it, right? Like, luckily we have the Snyder Cut.
And I think if that was released as a theatrical cut, it would have did.
I think so too. Absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of people were sort of like just soured by the Whedon cut. They're like, why are we going to bother? Yeah, because there's going to be some of it in there. But he kind of ripped a lot of it out. He definitely ripped a lot of the Whedon stuff out and brought it back to his original vision. There are definitely some missteps. There's definitely some missteps.
Whedon was trying to copy the Marvel style. That didn't mesh with Snyder's style. That's the problem. That's
it. If DC had kind of played the Marvel playbook from the beginning, you know what I mean, with Batman v Superman and all the Man of Steel, it would have worked just fine. But it didn't, so you have to play within the sandbox you're in.
Right.
And he didn't. Right. He wanted to alter it, and it's just not going to work because it's going to look weird when you do. You didn't have enough Green Lantern. I thought that was a misstep. I liked Manhunt at the end.
Yeah.
I thought that was
when
great.
They tried to go towards the Marvel route, you got Wonder Woman 84.
Oh, yeah. You hope the next one, and the next one, I don't know if it's delayed or whatever, but the next one's got to be better. They've got to make up for the next one. Right? But I hear tell that she may appear in the next Shazam.
Right. I mean, she should. They're doing Greek gods. Why not?
So she should appear. Hopefully she does. And I like that connectivity. Having Superman appear at the end of Shazam was great, but it was a misstep not having Henry Cavill do it.
Yeah, that was kind of embarrassing.
It was like cut off, no head. Like, come on, guys, you can manage this. You can make. He said he just wants to keep. He'd love to keep doing Superman.
Even Marvel can have like the actor come in for like 1 second.
For a minute, come in for a day, shoot this, and go home.
Yeah,
make your money, make it back up the Brinks truck, and go home. It's fine. Why not? They can do it too. So, and they just refuse to do it because they let all the directors do their own thing versus unifying it. So Aquaman feels different than the Snyder Cut stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't make any sense. And in the summary, if you look at some of the, the producing credits, Nolan's still on the producing credits.
Yeah.
And so is David S. Goyer, who both need to be let go from the series. Like, get them both away from even Snyder, but those two especially need to be gotten away from the series and stop putting their touch on it because it's not working.
One thing I like about Snyder more than Nolan, he knows how to shoot an action scene.
Yes. He's good at action. I love his action.
I don't think Nolan can shoot an action scene very well at all.
No, he was good at Inception. Like that's kind of his surreal.
I'm not even a big Inception fan, really.
I don't like the movie, but as a movie, like he can play that. He can do that kind of weird, quirky, make you think stuff. I don't want that in a superhero movie. I don't necessarily want to think too hard at a superhero movie. I want the punchy, fighty stuff.
And my kids actually saw the Snyder Cut, and we're going to be doing a top 10 list, and they actually put it on number 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So what did it? Now this might be, nitpicky for me, and you might go through this. I don't know that your kids might, but they chose to do it 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on that? Because I literally stopped the movie and rewound because I hadn't read ahead of time that's what it was going to like something wrong with my TV. Like, what's happening here? And I rewound it like, no, this isn't a 4:3 on my widescreen TV.
Right. I mean,
what was your thoughts on that?
It's his vision, so that's what he wanted. I mean,
I'm not gonna say I understand it, but I understand, right? So he wanted because he's like, they're always flying up. Like, That doesn't make any sense. But okay. And his bigger thing was like, it looks better in IMAX when you do that.
Right. But
Okay, it's going to live IMAX for about a month.
See it in IMAX,
a couple of months maybe if you get it out to IMAX. Then the rest of the time this little movie has life is on streaming on everybody's got a widescreen TV nowadays.
Yeah, but I see Disney Plus is doing the same thing now. They're doing IMAX view now.
Yeah, it's weird when you have a widescreen TV and there's nothing on the sides. Like, I don't understand this at all. What year are we in? So not only does he do a 4x3, and then they release a black and white version.
Well, that one I don't know about that one.
I mean, the most colorful, wildly colorful characters in comic book history, and you give me a black and white version?
Yeah.
I don't understand the artistic choice to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched 2 minutes and I go, that's black and white. That's beautiful. Okay, can I have the color version?
What do you think of the new Suicide Squad movie?
Love the new Suicide Squad.
There you go.
Loved. I'm going to watch that again and again.
And guess what?
Beginning to end.
The kids watched the movie with me.
That's a violent movie. That is a violent movie.
And they love it.
A lot of people rip off body parts.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun. Have you seen Spider-Man? Not going to go through. I already did my Spider-Man stuff, but that was a fun movie. Like lots of great comedy. Mm-hmm. Well placed, well timed. Suicide Squad, same thing.
Yeah.
Well placed, fun comedy, popcorn movie. You don't have to think about it too hard.
You're not going to shove down
necessarily, even though there's an agenda in it. There's not really an agenda in it, right? It's just fun action. People getting blown apart. Starro trying this big ridiculous.
I'm excited for Peacemaker. I'm excited.
Yes, I'm definitely. I don't know if I'll do a play-by-play. I might do an overall on the season.
Yeah,
just because Boba Fett's coming out and Marvel has so much stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. If there's a drive for it, I will. But I like it. I like Peacemaker. I like this character, and I don't know too much about Peacemaker going into it.
No.
Which is okay.
I thought I was a big comic. I never even knew who that was before.
I'd seen him in passing because I was always a DC person.
Yeah,
I grew up DC, right? I grew up in the '80s with superpowers and super friends, and that's even though we had Secret Wars and all that other stuff. But most of the toys I had was DC. He
had a weird helmet.
Yes. The toilet bowl, right, with the big rim over the top. Like it's.
I mean, the
really
movie made it look a little better, but the comic version is weird. I don't understand
it's strange. It's a strange look, his little bullet type head, but he pulled it off. John Cena, he owns that character now.
Yeah.
There's
John Cena's a good guy. He's in comedy.
Yeah, he can play it. He's good. I like him. He's gonna rock that role for a while now. Who knows where they'll go with it if they do another Suicide Squad movie or whatever. And I do hope they do. Obviously, they set themselves up to do it. It was fun popcorn movie.
I think originally he was in the running for Shazam as well.
Was he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big Zachary Levi fan. I like him, but I wasn't hugely sold on him for Shazam.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I find
I'm assuming they're gonna do Black Adam and Shazam eventually.
Yeah, eventually they're gonna put them together, and possibly Superman. They're talking, they even talk about getting Superman involved in it too.
But it doesn't seem like Zachary Levi would ever survive against The Rock.
No, he'd have to have the whole family. He'd have to have the whole family doing it together. It has to be the whole Shazam family.
Black Adam also has his own, Black Adam family too.
Does he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does.
Did not know that. Yeah. So if they get the family together, that's the two fans. It's basically Family Feud. We just need Steve Harvey wandering through making some jokes. But I think that would be killer, and I love it. But Zachary Levi, he's a good actor. He's a good comedic actor, and I understand where they went with that movie. They did a lot more comedy in that movie.
Right.
Again,
it doesn't fit the tone with the rest of the DCU, though.
No, definitely not. Definitely,
No.
I mean, more towards that new Wonder Woman movie, which is awful, but it definitely had a lot more comedy than any of the other ones in there. But you know what? Spider-Man has more comedy in it than the rest of the Marvel stuff.
Right. But I think that shift.
He's a young kid, and so is Shazam. But technically, he's a kid who just grows up big, like Tom Hanks and big. He just grows up to be big, but he's still got the mind of a kid. But in the comics and stuff like that, he's still portrayed older and wiser when he becomes
right. He didn't act like a fool, like that.
Right. Goofy, playing, trying to get the Twinkies out of the, the convenience store. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was a little weird for me, but I got over it. The movie was fun. The villain I can't remember the guy's name, the actor who plays him. He's really good.
Yeah, when I was watching that movie, I was saying like that guy should have been Lex Luthor.
Yes, anybody would do better. I would do better than Jesse Eisenberg, and I'm not an
Yeah.
actor.
I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of see where they were going. They wanted to do like an evil, Mark Zuckerberg, basically.
Yeah. The problem with
But
that is both Clark and Bruce are older than him, so
Right.
it just didn't play.
Yeah.
Right? It just like, it worked in Smallville because he was young, but so was Clark.
Yeah.
They're the same
Bryan
age.
Cranston would have been good too.
Oh, he would have crushed that role.
Yeah.
He would have crushed that role. Absolutely. I mean, he was basically that character. Just that
They
big.
should have went more Jeff Bezos instead of Mark
Yes.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely believe him more. I would definitely believe him.
Yeah.
He's older. He seems like
Lex Luthor right now. Did you see him in that like
he's going off
armor?
to space. Yeah,
Did you see him in that armor robotic suit?
I did. He's got the Lexo suit. He essentially has. He's just gonna paint it purple and green.
Yeah.
He paints it purple and green. It's like hands down, pencils down, day over. He's done it.
We are in the worst dimension right now, I guess.
That's right. I'm sure somehow he's even had them deliver some kryptonite to him or something. I don't really know. He got it. He got it in 1 to 2 days. So somehow he did it. Maybe that's what he was doing up in space.
It's so funny, real life is catching up with the comics.
Yes.
You got private spaceships going in the sky like the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. The art imitates life, imitates art type of thing. Yeah, it's definitely catching up. I still want my hoverboard, but it's I still want my hoverboard. Everybody will always
in Dubai. I think they have those in Dubai.
Do they really?
The cops are flying on hoverboard things.
I have to look that up.
I've seen a video.
I have to look that up. That would be amazing. Now they're just going to commercialize it. Generally, people would kill themselves doing it, so they can't really do too much. They'll be flying around all over the place. That's the danger of the flying cars. It's enough to keep people together, not kill themselves on one flat plane. Let alone when everybody's flying in different directions and different heights and different.
There'll be
360
cars falling on your house and stuff like that.
And just somebody to be paying attention to. Now you have to pay attention 360 this way. You pay 360 like a circle. Then it's like a complete sphere 360 view. You got to pay attention to everything going on. Forget it. Forget it. People can't just pay attention to around them. So yeah, although the self-driving cars are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm driving home late from picking up my son at my parents' house. I'm like,
until they start getting like self-intelligence and taking over.
Yeah, that one makes me a little nervous. I've seen those robotics and I'm like, nobody's seen Terminator. Have you people not seen?
No.
It's a little Terminator meets Jurassic Park, right? The scientists are too worried whether they can, not worrying about whether they should. Mm-hmm. Should we be doing this?
Yeah.
Well,
out of all of the, reboots that bring back all the old actors, I think Cobra Kai is probably in the top 10 of those.
I have to agree. I absolutely have to agree. Bringing everybody back in to do this has been a massive fan service.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I know people complain about fan service all the time. I love fan service. I'm a fan. I want service. I want the old people back in.
Creed did the same thing too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Although he's not going to be in the next one, right? I understand Sylvester Stallone's going to be in the next one. He's still doing stuff. Yeah. Like he's probably coming out with another Expendables.
I know he wants to do another Rocky, I heard.
Yes. That scares me a little bit. It scares me a little bit. Like it worked for Creed because he was helping out. Like he's at that point of his life.
Yeah, I just hope they don't kill him off screen or something. That would be.
Yeah, I know. I don't want that. You live with these characters for so long.
Yeah.
You want them to either continue on beyond the movie. Like shut the movie down. He's still doing. You can still in your brain. He's still on doing.
I mean,
thing.
They did it in a good way with Cobra Kai. They respected Pat Morita in a good way.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to, right? So I think they definitely did, and I like that. There's still that part of me that wishes he was still around.
I know.
Right? You're always gonna bug to that, like, man, I would love to get a little Miyagi wisdom and have.
This is 10 years too late, 10
years too late. 10 years too late. No, I agree.
The third Karate Kid should have been the storyline they used for Cobra Kai. I think.
I agree. That would have been but then we wouldn't necessarily have the show that lasts 4 seasons or more.
Well, yeah.
They're like, we did that in 3.
We might have had 4 more movies.
That's true, and not the Hilary Swank version. We could have skipped right over that one.
Yeah, and not the remake either.
Oh, the Kung Fu Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think the success of Cobra Kai is what got Ghostbusters Afterlife made, I think.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. That was to bring that in, because Bill Murray was very dead set against not doing it for a while, and he wanted a good script, and I think they gave it to him. So we did our Ghostbusters review too,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great. It had its moments. It has its, it had these moments that bumped for me, but overall, I thought it worked. It worked. It was a winner. I was glad I went to the theater to see it. It was the first movie I've been to at a theater since COVID started, and then Spider-Man was the second. But yeah, I mean, it worked. It was, like I said, there's a couple of beats where, the 12-year-old or whatever she is, 10, 12-year-old is picking up a 50-pound pack. He's throwing on her back and running down. I'm like,
yeah,
heavy pack, man. I don't think she's totally that easily. I don't think she's a pipsqueak. I don't think that thing would have crushed her. But, and the 15-year-old or whatever he was, the 15, 17-year-old who failed his driver's license test 3 times is now bombing around town like he's been a NASCAR racer.
Right.
And he knows how to fix cars, apparently.
Yeah, well.
So there's a few things like I can suspend disbelief for the ghosts because it's a Ghostbusters movie,
right?
But the kid picking up a 50-pound pack and just like knowing how to use it immediately, it's like
even in the first movie, those old men had a problem carrying.
Yeah, remember he was like, "Oh, this thing is heavy." I remember the second movie, he's like, "I always hated this part of the job." They went after the court, in the court when the ghosts come up at the court and they had to put their packs back on. Like, I hated this part, right? Like, it was so heavy, they're stumbling. There's barely any stumble for the 12-year-old.
But then, what would she do? Drag it or something? It would be like weird too.
Yeah, exactly. She's dragging it for an hour and a half. Like, it's a long movie. This kid just keeps dragging this pack. So, but like I said, this is, you're gonna suspend some disbelief. But overall, movie worked. I'm looking forward to seeing it again, and I thought they did well by bringing Spangler back, right? To bring him back in the way they did, and man, did they make it work? Yeah, they made it look good.
I mean, what other franchise would you like to see come back from the 80s? I mean, they wanted to do Goonies for a while, but that never panned out.
Yeah, I could see a Goonies working. Most of those guys are still around.
Most of those guys are like grandparents now, though.
Yeah, but so it's their kids doing it, right? Yeah. It's now their kids that are the Goonies going to do it, and they're maybe helping out, or or they're cautioning them from doing it.
I'm surprised they never brought back like Gremlins or something like that. Right,
because they had a second one that didn't really work that well.
Yeah,
New Batch, which is okay. It had what's his name, Glover in it, who played Lex's father in Smallville.
Yeah,
he's been in a bunch of other stuff too, but so he was in it. And it worked. Like I enjoyed that movie. I know why it didn't work in the theaters. I get it, but it's a fun. It's a lot more lighthearted than the first one. There's a lot more.
And I'm surprised they haven't revisited E.T. because that's an easy way to do a sequel to that.
Yeah. Do you do that? It's such a classic. Like, it's more of like,
did you see that commercial where they brought back the kid?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Henry and Thomas, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a good idea for a movie. It's
yes. He's older now and he's still doing stuff. Why not? It's just older Elliot doing E.T. comes back after all this time. Why not? Right. Yeah. But it's like that classic Oscar winner, you know what I mean? Like, do you remake Jaws? Forget about Jaws 4. We want to pretend Jaws 3 and 4 didn't exist, especially 4.
I mean, there was talk about doing a Jaws prequel at one point.
But you have Jaws.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
you have it. Like, they've never redone Wizard of Oz. They've done
it was going to be based on the story that happened to Quint on that ship.
Yes. That's right. During his tale when they were they were getting drunk and talking to each other, but doing comparing scars, right? That would be cool. I think that would be cool, but like, does it work? The movie would work. Certainly you can make the. We've had some animation on sharks that weren't I'm not even counting Sharknado, but like they did some of those other movies, like the Heavy Rain movie, like people were like there's sharks in the water. Didn't work, but I think they could pull it off. They certainly wouldn't have the issues with a shark that they did in the original Jaws movies, but I think they could do it. What else could come back from the 80s?
If Michael J. Fox didn't have Parkinson's, I'm sure they would have brought Back to the Future.
So that's it, right? Because he's always said that as long as he's Zemeckis, so as long as he's breathing, they won't remake the movie.
Right.
right? He won't ever allow them to reboot the movie.
Right.
So they might have done a fourth one or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would work for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If he wasn't, dealing with what he deals with,
I mean, you could
that
still
would be
probably do it, base it on Doc's kids, maybe grown up now.
Yeah. Did you ever see that thing on the third movie where that kid like kind of points at himself?
Oh yes, yes.
That kid's creepy looking. That kid's creepy looking. Like his face is like very angry.
Yeah,
because apparently he had to go to the bathroom and he was like kept telling him like 4 times and they're just like, just shoot. And he's like, I gotta go, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The poor kid.
I mean, I don't. You saw Bill and Ted?
Yes, I did see the new one. I did see that worked. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a nice nostalgia.
Yeah,
it was a nice nostalgia. They look, especially Keanu Reeves, like he's the guy's like made a deal with somebody because he doesn't age. He just gets more facial hair, but he doesn't age.
Right.
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to the next Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
That's in a couple of days, right? It's the 22nd that one's coming out?
Yes. Yeah.
Theaters or HBO streaming? What's your preference?
I'm going to go streaming with that.
Yeah,
first.
I am too. I'd love to see
kind of burned with the last two, so...
This one looks a lot better. This one looks like they're trying to make up for some of the sins of the last two, especially that last one. The third one was worse than the second. But I think this one is trying to make up for some of those past sins. But yeah, I think just the current state, like if it's not a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, these days I don't go to the theater unless I know for a fact that I'm going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, you have to. It's just, it's expensive. I went by myself to see Spider-Man, like popcorn and some Twizzlers alone with the water was over $21.
Oh boy.
For just me. Like this is... Yeah. Do they know prices anywhere else on the planet? It's like an airport in here. They don't understand. It's like their own little country. They don't know what prices are everywhere, what water costs everywhere else. So they charge you ridiculous. So you have to kind of like pick and choose these days. We used to go all the time. We used to go like every weekend, at least 2 or 3 movies a month minimum. Now I'm lucky if I get one a month.
I got like 3 kids. It's gonna be like over $100 or something.
Easy to be over $100. So you have to pick and choose. And with the streaming and now with them putting it on HBO Max on the same day,
I mean,
it does
enjoy it while it lasts, because I don't think they're gonna keep doing that.
No, they pulled Blue Beetle.
Right.
Blue Beetle was going
which was a good move, I thought.
Yeah, they're just going to go right to theaters. They're not going to do streaming on the same time, which is good. It's good.
Because there's a huge Latino market for movies.
Yeah. I don't have any sort of connection with that character, but I understand why people do.
Yeah.
Right. I totally get why people do, and I'm glad they're not just kind of like which is the same reason we're kind of disappointed that they're making Batgirl straight to streaming.
Right.
I think the character deserves more than that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So which is the same reason I'm glad they moved Cobra Kai to Netflix.
Right.
Nothing against YouTube Red. I think just Netflix had the money to back it and put
YouTube
the money.
YouTube Red was like, it was on its way out.
Yeah, it was, and it's just that was the only property they really had.
Yeah,
that was the only thing giving them any bank was that property. So they had to do, they was going to lose it anyway. But Netflix had all the money in the bank, so they can make a really good go at it. And it deserved it. It deserved the life and not to die with YouTube Red.
Have you seen the new Mighty Ducks series?
No, I was never a fan of the Mighty Ducks to begin with.
They took almost like all the notes they watched from Cobra Kai and they applied it to this show.
Yes,
almost exactly.
Now he's exiting, right? Like he's leaving the show.
Yeah, I think that's probably the death knell of that show right now.
Yeah, because he's the nostalgia of the show.
Yeah.
Right, him being the original on the original movies, like he's not there.
Yeah,
it's time to pack it in. And it's okay. It had its life. It got another bite of the apple, and now it's time to move on.
Yeah,
there's so much more content to be had. There's so many new things to come out. I mean, there's only so many shows you can watch. I was just talking about this earlier. Just the Marvel alone, Marvel and Disney Plus stuff. It's like, who has time?
I know.
We're talking about creating content, but
I know.
You have
and it's like
She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and the list, and Secret Invasion.
And the thing is, it's every show is good that they're doing.
Yeah. Hawkeye is my least favorite of the 4 that they've done so far, but I'm excited about the last episode, and I'm glad I watched it. I watched it. I like the continuity. I like having the notes of what was going on. And I like Jeremy Renner's character. I like what they're doing with it. I just wanted it sort of bigger, I guess.
Right. Well, it seems like a more intimate tale.
Yeah. And Falcon the Winter Soldier was more. It was bigger. It was more grandiose.
Right.
Even though it was just those 2 soldiers.
And I like What If a lot too.
Oh, I love it. I love
I mean,
What If.
I don't know if we can talk about it. I mean, you saw the
The
end
ending,
credits scene.
after Spider-Man, yes. So this will publish after my Spider-Man review. So
Right.
And so my Spider-Man review was full of chock-a-block full of spoilers. We literally talked about the entire movie.
I mean,
so I don't have any problem.
is that Doctor Strange from the What If?
Yes, that is him. That is the Ultimate Strange Supreme who had swallowed all the monsters.
But
it's regular Doctor Strange and the Supreme.
Yeah, but isn't he stuck in a pocket dimension with Killmonger, or is this before that?
We don't know. Like this could be we cracked the multiverse. Did we cause more of a problem?
Right.
Did he get out? Right.
Yeah.
Or is it the time in between? We'll find out. We'll find out what happens. The timeline stuff, like when things are happening, is a little like like with Hawkeye, we know what happens after Spider-Man, but how long after Spider-Man does it happen? Because they reference the new improved Statue of Liberty,
right?
Which they broke in Spider-Man, so obviously they've refixed it since then.
And maybe I don't think anybody knows who Spider-Man is right now, though.
Right, because now we had that so we had that discussion when I was doing the Spider-Man. So I'll get your take on it. We were talking about, so Neil and I were talking about this, like, did he wipe out any existence of Peter Parker from the past, or just from that moment on?
I mean,
how did that work?
It's kind of like
he says it's like you never existed. He'll make it like he's gonna make it like Peter Parker never existed.
I don't know how that's gonna work.
Right. You can understand how everybody can forget, because magically you can make everybody forget, because you see the thing happen and people are like, oh, I've forgotten that Peter ever existed. I don't know who this person is. Right. Aunt May's dead, so there's no connection there anyway.
Right.
So no big deal. Right. Tony's gone, so he has no connections there anyway. So he loses connections with Happy and obviously his friends. Okay, fine. But it's 2021, 2022, and obviously beyond at this point. These shows are beyond that, right? Because it's 5 years after 2018. His electronic trail is everywhere. His birth certificate, school records, tweets. You know what I mean? Like, it's the news footage that's all digital. Did that all just go away?
How would the other heroes like just forget what he did in Infinity War?
So, the only way we were plotting this out, the only way it can happen is they still know who Spider-Man is, because Spider-Man's still a thing, and he's seen.
They just don't know who Peter Parker is.
They just don't know it's Peter Parker.
Right.
They've never known who he is. Yeah. The only hiccup I had was Tony Stark figures out Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He doesn't run into Spider-Man and then figure out it's Peter Parker. He figures out Peter Parker, who he is, and that he's Spider-Man. He goes to Aunt May's place to find Peter Parker because he knows he's Spider-Man. So how does that had to have still happened?
Right.
So we don't know what the timeline shift would have been to get Spider-Man into the Avengers.
I feel that they had left that open in case the contract didn't get renewed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, because they were still, for a while, they're talking like, this is it. We're done with the Tom Holland. We're going to move on to something else. But now, of course, they're like, they looked at the box office receipts. They're like, yeah, let's do 3 more.
Right.
It was like,
But the other end credit scene didn't make sense either.
What's that?
The other end credit scene didn't make sense either.
No, it does and it doesn't, right? Because you have Tom Hardy, his Venom gets pulled in.
Right.
So the hiccup becomes the only people who got pulled in were people who knew Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Right. He doesn't know Peter Parker. He doesn't know who Peter Parker is. He doesn't even know who Spider-Man is.
Right.
He knows because he gets pulled into our universe or the MC universe, and you see him on the news. He's like, oh, I got to get me some of that. That's the only reason. That's his introduction to Spider-Man. However, what I read was the explanation is the symbiote is a hive mind. So it maybe can connect to all the symbiotes in different universes.
Right.
And there are universes where the symbiote knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
But, I thought it would have made...
knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, so the symbiote was pulled in.
Right.
That's how... And then Tom Hardy figures it out.
It would have made more sense if they didn't have him come from another dimension altogether. Just have him, just be in the Marvel Universe. He just,
So what we have to now solve, because now, okay, good, we have the symbiote is now in the MCU because you see a little bit on the counter at the bar.
Right.
Okay, fine. He leaves a little bit behind. That can be the catalyst to get in the next movies where we finally get Peter Parker in the all-black suit.
Right.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I can do that. The problem I have is if you watch the Morbius trailer, Spider-Man's painted on the wall, and the Vulture, paid by Michael Keaton, is there in their universe. But their universes are not the same as the MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because the Morbius references the guy in San Francisco. He's referencing Venom.
Right.
He's in that universe with them, not in the MCU universe. How do you figure on that Spider-Man is in that universe and so is Vulture? Our Vulture.
Right. It's a whole can of worms, and it doesn't make any sense.
Stuff, and hopefully they're going to pay it out, right? Because we got to see what happens in January with Morbius.
I heard that they're leaning towards Secret Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're definitely leaning towards. There's talk that maybe one of the Russo brothers is going to do it.
Yeah. I kind of hope that they do, instead of that, they're bringing in the Fantastic Four. Let's see a proper Galactus showdown.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I did talk about it with somebody, because they've never had a good representation, have they?
And of Doom too, because all the Doom sucked.
Yes, bad, but Doom they could easily do. You can easily, now that Marvel has their control over it again, they will do a proper Doom, no doubt. Who they'll get to play it, who knows? But their choices are endless. With Galactus, it's the same as like a Parallax, only worse, right? We saw Parallax in the horrible Green Lantern movie.
Yeah.
He was basically a smoke cloud, and so was Galactus in the Silver Surfer version of Fantastic Four. Because the problem that, this is just my own thought process on it, an actor like Tobey Maguire, they're constantly taking off the Spider-Man mask. So within their contract, you have to see their face. How do you have a Silver Surfer against a Galactus and put them both on screen and see what he's doing when he's just a little minute thing flying around Galactus a fly?
The way they introduce Celestials and stuff like that, I think,
right, because we had in Doctor Strange.
They've opened the jar of things that they can do anything of now, And Dormammu...
they didn't do such a good job with Dormammu.
Right. But there was talk of... I don't know if it was a rumor. There was a rumor that Liam Neeson would be Galactus.
I think that would be fantastic.
He has the voice.
Take all my money. Take all my money. I'm going to see it. I want to see that. I want to see him mocapped. I want to see his face. I want to see him be Galactus.
Well, all you need is this part, his face. That's it.
Okay. That's all right. I'll take the eyeballs behind the mask and this part of the mouth. I want to see. He would crush it. He's got the gravitas. He's got the voice. He's got that, you just for some reason, obviously not knowing this guy, you think this guy knows what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah. And it's about time he joined the Marvel Universe too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could watch this guy read a phone book and still be like, oh, that's interesting. I like this. I'll watch this.
He's joined every other franchise. Might as well be Marvel.
Get him in the Marvel. Got to get him in Marvel. I think so. I think he would be a great choice for Galactus. Yeah. I hadn't heard that yet, but now that would be perfect. Take all my money. I'm watching him.
John Watts has proved himself that he can handle that movie.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. He's done some great work. But again, under the umbrella.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you keep these guys under the right umbrella and all focusing on the right direction. Yeah, they're just printing money down there.
The thing that's disappointing now is that this Marvel universe does not have an Osborn, does not have an Octavius.
Right.
I mean, so that means we're never going to see an MCU version of these characters?
I mean, I can never say never, right? Especially with the multiverse stuff. We're still long from any of this multiverse stuff being solved.
Right.
You know what I mean? We still have to have Kang. We still have to deal with all of that. We have to bring in the Fantastic Four. We have to bring in all these other characters.
Unless they bring in the female Dr. Octopus into this.
Yep.
universe.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's all right. It's another version. You know, I almost would prefer that than somebody recasting Alfred Molina.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think he just like
But I
Willem
mean,
Dafoe owned that. You know, even no matter what they did with to him behind that mask, which was ridiculous. But
right.
you know, which is what I loved about the new Spider-Man movies, that he was not in the mask the whole
The
time.
one thing that's missing from these new Spider-Man movies is the ominous presence of Oscorp. You know,
Yes,
I miss that. You know,
yeah, it's
That's
hard
his-
not having the Sinister Six being a constant presence.
right? Yeah,
But this new Spider-Man we're gonna get for the next 3 movies, you know, they reset him. They hit the
Mhm.
reset button on Spider-Man now. He's
yeah,
Spider-Man. He's, you know, street level Spider-Man on his own, broke.
right.
Has to do it
Back to
himself.
basics.
No, back to basics. No Stark technology to back him up, which was everybody's gripe. From the way
Mhm.
they started this Spider-Man, he was immediately like street Spider-Man in his homemade costume too. I have Stark tech.
Yeah, but you know the thing that's
There was
gonna
no
be
growth for him.
the thing that's going to be missing is he doesn't have that parental figure. No,
Right? No,
Aunt
Aunt
May,
May. Yeah.
nobody at all. So that's
He's not going to have to play on her, you know, with great power. That she said that to him.
It's going to be
You know.
that's different. I don't think there's ever been Spider-Man like that. You know.
No, but it'd be good. You know, it's done, and we don't have to watch Uncle Ben die again.
Right.
There was Uncle Ben on this. We had to watch Aunt May die, but we've never seen that before.
Right.
You know, so that was at least a bit of a nice change. As much as I didn't want her to go.
Yeah.
You know, I like Marissa Tomei. I like the way she was playing that character, so I didn't want her to go that early. But you know, we had a few, and we'll see what happens. He's in the new suit, which is much like the real suit, a real original suit.
Right.
I mean, a little shinier, but
you know, they're gonna change his suit eventually. They gotta sell toys. You know.
Yeah, that's it. Every movie you got to do something. It's got to be 13 or 14.
There's at least 2 or 3 suits every movie now.
Yeah, it has to be because they got to sell those toys.
Yeah,
they got to sell those.
And
toys.
believe me, I know. I got all the different versions.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure, and my son will too when he's old enough to play with those because I had everything.
Yeah.
Growing up, my mother's like the other day. My mom was like, "Oh look, your son's walking around with this little action figure in his hand." I'm like, "I know. I'm very proud right now." I always had my G.I. Joe or something in my hand always.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
My son will do the same thing. You got to sell those toys. And that was the perfect one. That was the perfect one. They aimed it right at me. Like, oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
Put that out. So, yeah.
Even Captain America, every movie, he changes his suit just slightly.
A couple of suits. We have a stealth suit. We have somewhat different versions for no good reason, but we have different versions. We have to.
They have the best marketing team.
It's Disney.
In the world.
Disney.
Really?
And Disney has the best marketing team ever.
Yeah.
They've sold a mouse for 75 years, 90 years. They've sold a mouse. You know what I mean?
That's DC's
rat.
Also.
A friendly rat somehow has it's a global brand on a friendly little mouse.
Yeah, I mean, the DC has Warner Brothers has Bugs. He should be bigger than Mickey, you know?
He's not. Never has been, never will be.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that global presence. Everybody knows who Bugs is, but not like Mickey. You go to any country in the world and you shine up that little circle with those 2 big circles over the head, and that's Mickey Mouse. I was just having this, oddly enough, this argument with Mila today. Is like, Batman is a she. So Mila does, my co-host, she younger. So anytime she picks, like, that one's my favorite, it's always like the most drawn away from original source material.
At least
she loves
she
loves the Nolan
George Clooney, right?
Yeah, no, she loves the Nolan Batmobile. She likes the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man costume. Like, you keep picking the ones that are as far away from the subject as of any of the ones that's been represented so far. So we had this huge argument about that. You'll hear it on the Spider-Man podcast. So, like, you keep picking
my kids don't like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. They don't like Tobey Maguire either. They told me that he cries too much.
He did in this movie too. Yeah, he did in the newest movie, Spider-Man 2, which is like, okay, well, we've seen him do that, so at least they're playing him exactly the same.
Yeah.
So there was no change.
But Andrew was good. I thought Andrew was good in this recent one.
He was amazing. And they had to convince him of that. He was the amazing Spider-Man. So that's what I loved. They played him exactly the same. But you're right. Peter and Spider-Man have 2 personalities, right?
Uh-huh.
Sort of the nerdy, quiet kid, doesn't talk a lot. He becomes Spider-Man. He doesn't shut up.
Mm-hmm.
They both played their version better, right? Like Andrew Garfield was a better Spider-Man, chat, than Tobey Maguire was. But Tobey Maguire was a better Peter Parker.
Right.
He was a little nerdier, a little reserved, scientist. He was better at that.
I think
but he
Tom
wasn't
is
a great man.
Tom is a combination of the two.
He can play both. That's why he's the best Spider-Man so far.
Yeah.
He can easily switch. He's good at being the quiet, mousy, don't notice me kid, and then very good at the quirky, quippy Spider-Man.
But do you think, with the success of this movie, do you think they would spin off those two Spider-Man into new movies?
I would like. I mean, the nostalgia in me wants them to do, but I don't think they will. I think those guys are like, all right, we did it. We had fun. We got back in there for one. You know, and they're older, so they're certainly not going to want to jump around. Right. Tom Holland's a lot younger than they are, so he's okay with still jumping around in the suit.
You can do an interesting take with the Tobey Maguire one, like a domesticated Peter, maybe who has kids, you know?
Yeah.
And the kids are, you know, have powers, you know?
So I think the only part that would stop them from doing that is does it muddy the fact that we still have Peter in the MCU.
Right.
Right, well, kind of like they did, you know, they had to like do different, you know, you can't have Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel. We have to say Shazam because we lost the rights, and you don't want to have the same sort of property out there. But DC's okay with doing that.
They could do like maybe the Spider-Girl series Marvel did a while ago had retired Peter training.
We need a Gwen Stacy. We need a Spider-Gwen. We need to have a Spider-Gwen. We need to have that stuff. We need to have, obviously, Miles Morales, which I love the fact that they made reference to that in the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, there has to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. And they kind of give it almost a look to the camera. Like, there is, you know.
They had the Prowler in the first one, so.
Yes, exactly. So who references his brother nephew. Or his nephew. Thank you, his nephew. Yeah. So like that was like, he's out there somewhere. Going to be out there somewhere. They'll bring him in eventually. They'll have to round her. Maybe it's the end of the second trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing I didn't like about the Tom Holland version, like there was no Gwen in school with him. There was no Harry. You know, a lot of the mainstays weren't there. You know.
Yes, you have an MJ who's not really Mary Jane.
Right.
Okay, but you got to do something a little different. We've had two. You know, you had Gwen already, but like Ned was kind of like. Who's this guy?
Yeah.
You know, like, have we ever seen a Ned in any
Ned
of the comics?
In the comics was the Hobgoblin.
Right. So does he become the Hobgoblin in the next three?
Doesn't seem like it. No.
I don't think so either.
And the Flash Thompson also was not like the Flash Thompson.
No, he was the big muscle-bound knucklehead. Yeah.
And you know, I think they're kind of missing a boat there.
Venom?
They could have easily set up an Agent Venom there. That would have been a good movie, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many ways they can go with it, but they've taken it out to the point where it's their own universe, and Ned should have been Harry. You know what I mean? They should have had Harry do it, but we saw that. But we saw that already. You know what I mean? So, like, do we want to do it again and just rehash it, or we have to go somewhere different?
And you know, it seems like they're kind of pushing the Dark Avengers a little bit. You know?
Yeah, they're definitely pushing. They're definitely gearing up. Valentina dragging together.
There's no Oscorp. That was like the main connective tissue there.
So it's Kingpin in this one, right? Kingpin has got to be the one who's pulling Valentina's strings.
Could be.
She works for him.
Yeah. And that's Zemo. Like. Maybe Zemo a little bit too.
Could be, but we had, you know, Yelena is working for Valentina.
Right.
And we know that somebody hired her to go after Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And we now know it was Kingpin by Kate's mother.
How do people know what happened to Black Widow? Was there a press release?
We were having that discussion today. Yes and no, right? Like, we know she died. Like, everybody knows she died. She's not around anymore. So obviously they let that go. Our guess was that they didn't release the details as much, which is kind of weird. Like, you don't have to give every play-by-play, but the fact that it's not enough general knowledge that she sacrificed her life. She did. Clint didn't kill her.
No.
In fact, he tried to kill himself and save her, but she killed herself to save the universe.
Right.
And that's not common knowledge, apparently, because nobody can tell Yelena
this. So how did she know? How did Valentina know?
did she know, or is she just trying to pin it on Clint because nobody
Right.
really knows? So she's just, making it up, saying, "Yeah, he killed her. He killed her," because you don't really know what their relationship was. He killed her because they were close and they went to do this together. And now you have an enemy. I've just created an enemy for you to go kill because we want him out of the picture. So we're gonna lie about it. And
Right.
Kingpin obviously is pulling. It seems like Kingpin's pulling all the strings.
Right. Yeah. I mean, um,
And what a way to tie it together, right? To the Netflix shows. Like, what a way to bring it all together.
I know. I mean, it's like if you miss something, you're like out of the loop.
You are. But they're making it rain. They're printing the money over there, doing it. Like, all right, we're gonna connect this now that they can. Right now that the Netflix contract has expired, they can start pulling in.
They really, they're showing their immense balls.
Yep, they are.
Display,
They really are. They're laying it right out there on the table. Look, this is who we are. Hopefully they don't. They recast Iron Fist. Hopefully they redo that one. But I don't know
if you saw there was a report that Jessica Henwick from Iron Fist was supposed to be in a cameo in Shang-Chi, and she was gonna be in that tournament. I hear.
Right. That Wong
decided,
was Abomination. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
think at the end of her series, she was the Iron Fist, wasn't she? I didn't get to finish that show.
She might have been. I don't think I watched it all the way through either because it was so bad. The first season was just boardroom scene after boardroom scene. Nobody came through it.
Yeah.
In 2 seconds of him with a glowing fist, like literally 2 seconds. Of him
bringing it back to like Karate Kid. He was another actor that did not look like he knew what he was doing either.
No. But again, Daniel's not supposed to know what he's doing. He gets trained by Miyagi. By the third movie he's had a few years in, he should look a little bit better.
Right.
He's been doing this a little bit.
Still getting beat up
in
the third movie.
He knows what he's doing. But with the Iron Fist, he's been doing it for a very long time. By the time he comes home, he is the Iron Fist. He is the ultimate. He is the best fighter in the Marvel Universe. On par or above Shang-Chi.
And that was the show I was the most looking forward to when it was announced.
And the most disappointed with.
Most disappointed. Yeah. It could have been so good.
Yes, they definitely need to and they're going to recast it, right? Like from what I understand, they're going to recast Danny Rand because, as he said, this was his time to be the Iron Fist, and then it gets transferred to someone else.
I mean, when your co-stars are like outshining the main star, that's something bad,
Yeah, and that first
season, Henwick was the best thing on that show, in my opinion.
Yep, absolutely, without a doubt. I'm a little bit concerned with Blade, with Mahershala Ali playing Blade. Well, I think he's wonderful, but the fact that he was Cottonmouth.
Well, yeah, that's a little weird. But there's other people that appeared in 2 Marvel movies too.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But now he's gonna be a main character. He was a main villain, and now he's gonna be the main character of the movie.
What's her name? I keep forgetting. She was the niece, or no, the aunt in Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
She was also in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even put that together. She's kind of like he's there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's not. Yeah,
but
that's true.
She played a major Marvel character though.
Yes.
Yeah.
But her other character wasn't major.
No.
Right? Like it wasn't like as big.
No.
So yeah, I mean they can do it. They'll do it. They'll make it happen.
And also Circe was also in Captain Marvel also.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they'll make it work. They'll make it because he's a great actor. I have no struggle with him. I think he's great.
Yeah. And I think he does have some martial arts background.
Yes. Yeah, I read something on that. I forget how long, but yeah, which is nice to see. So
I mean,
he'll have some good. But so did Wesley Snipes. Like, Wesley Snipes was a martial artist from.
In all honesty, I think Snipes could still pull it off.
Yeah. Did you see the new Coming to America?
Yes, he was hilarious.
It was good. It was good.
The best thing in that movie.
Chock full of nostalgia. Chock full of like fan service. You bring back, sexual chocolate. You bring back the twins. You bring back, everybody you could bring back.
Yeah, but in my opinion, the least funny person in that movie was Eddie Murphy.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
That was the biggest struggling point of that movie. was his performance. I think it's kind of like
kind of lost it. I don't know.
And that can happen, right? Some actors that get so big, so famous, so much money, like they draw away from their roots, and like how they were good for a reason, right? They were good.
Right.
Kevin Smith talks about that all the time. He has a harder time writing like it now with his fame and his life, and he couldn't write Clerks now. The original Clerks, it would not be the same.
No,
is what gave him his career, which gave him his life, but he doesn't understand that struggle anymore because he doesn't live in that world anymore.
Yeah.
Money. He's got a mansion. He's got he lives in Ben Affleck's old house. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Did you like the last Jay and Silent Bob movie?
Not really.
No,
not really. I wasn't a fan. Like I watched it because I'll watch it because I like his movies. I didn't see a lot. I haven't seen Tusk because not really.
No, I didn't see that either.
Yeah, but I did see Yoga Hosers.
Oh, I didn't like that.
It got what it deserved.
Yeah.
Critically, it got what it deserved. But yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. Like I like the Jay and Silent Bob stuff.
He's doing Clerks 3 right now.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I'll see it. I'll probably wait for streaming.
But he's one director that never tried to go above.
Until he tried to do Cop Out, and that didn't work. But he stayed in his lane.
Yeah.
And he learned with Cop Out that just stay in my lane. I'll just stay in my lane. I don't do the big budget films for the studios. I'll just do my independent stuff and get them, do the
one thing that me and the kids were talking about is who does the cameos now that Stanley's dead. Who would be the new cameo person? And my son was saying like he should have like a Stanley robot, but
no, there's a much better choice.
What?
Who's it gonna be? You got this.
Who?
Everybody's famous Merc with a mouth. If Deadpool start doing cameos, I'm packing.
I don't know.
Come on, once you start introducing movies, because Deadpool's gonna be in the movies. They've already said that. They're gonna bring Ryan Reynolds. They're gonna bring the X-Men. They're gonna bring Deadpool into the Marvel MCU.
Just have him come in and just say hi.
If you do not have Deadpool popping through every once in a while, I would think that's a huge misstep. I don't
know. It might be a little bit too out there.
Bigger than Stan Lee. You have to go bigger than Stan Lee. Otherwise, it's a sad, like we're trying so hard and you're not going to live up to Stan Lee. Like Stan Lee was a man. He was Stan the man. So how do you make it on par, but you can't? You almost have to go bigger.
Right.
Otherwise, don't waste my time because you're taking up screen time for this cameo. Give me Deadpool.
Yeah, and
give me some Deadpool.
I guess that could work, maybe.
Because now you're going to bring Deadpool in, and you have to almost let him be Deadpool in the movies, right? He's talking to the audience, and he's, you know what I mean? He's pop because that's what Deadpool does in the comics, essentially, right? He'll pop in here and there and do his thing. How awesome would that be to have Deadpool just pop in, hey, and talks to the audience real quick, or does a cameo and then turns to the audience and turns back.
Well, I mean, Ryan Reynolds would have a lot of job.
Yeah. He's not suffering for work. Yeah. He'll be working for a while, that guy.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys we talk about, like, that role was made for him. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
He is cool. Patrick Stewart is Professor Xavier. Robert Downey Jr. is, star.
Did you, I don't know if you heard another rumor about Doctor Strange Part 2, that James McAvoy is returning as Professor X.
Because I heard they have to introduce the mutants. So I heard the rumor, but originally people were saying it was going to be Patrick Stewart, but then he very much said he doesn't want to do it. He's kind of done with it. Not that he had anything against it. He's just moving on. He's older now. He's like, I'm kind of done with those. But he did love his time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not I don't want to because I don't like it. It's just, I'm good. So you go to McAvoy because he's the next logical choice. Because the rumor, as you said, is that he's the one who has to help Doctor Strange. Because at some point we have to help, like Wanda. He's going for help with Wanda. But Wanda isn't quite
there.
Is she ready to help, or is she still kind of losing it?
Yeah.
Because we kind of left her in WandaVision not quite all there. And by the trailer, it looks like she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just working on this thing here.
Right.
Almost picking up laundry on a hook. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that was the rumor, was that they need Professor X to help bring her down because of his mind control power.
Right, and
Trailer doesn't point to that, but
there was talk of Hugh Jackman showing up too.
Yes, is he gonna do it? I hope he does in a way, but it almost But if you're going to start bringing in the Fox people, you have to bring them all in or nobody.
Yeah, I mean that
some
whole
version, whether it's older or younger, whether it's the Fassbender or you got to bring in some version of them.
I liked Wanda, but that whole Quicksilver gave a bad taste to me.
Wicked bad taste.
Yeah.
Wicked bad taste. If you're not going to actually make it him from the multiverse and brought him in, actually Quicksilver, there was
Have you noticed, like,
use that actor
before they even started doing multiverse stuff? They teased it in Far From Home, right? And then they teased it again in WandaVision, and it was also always like false starts, and then all of a sudden they just went full blast.
Yeah, they just exploded it.
Yeah,
they actually exploded.
It's like they were trying to test the waters a little bit or something.
But to have Evan Peters play that role and not be him,
that was disappointing.
Weird. It was. Right. It was just weird. It's like, I don't understand why you would do that, because it's just confusing people. There's no reason to confuse people doing that. Like, just have it to be somebody else.
When everybody saw them, their minds blew up.
Yeah,
the internet blew up.
It's definitely teasing everything. Like, no, we're just kidding. It's not really him. Like,
you
can't do that. You've already tortured us with Mephisto not being in anything. Everybody thinks it's Mephisto. It's not Mephisto. It's never Mephisto.
They kept on doing Mephisto stuff with the Spider-Man movie too.
Yeah, supposedly, like, he might be in the, in the purple. Like, some people think they see his silhouette in the purple. Like, you've seen him everywhere.
Or they thought one theory was they thought that wasn't really Doctor Strange. It was Mephisto as Doctor Strange.
Right. There's a Minotaur type guy in that cloud.
Well,
I didn't know his name. What's his name?
I saw the toys that they're selling for.
You made the collection. You put together the piece of him.
He's there, so I don't know who that character is.
I don't know who he is. He's got some history. I forget who he is. I have to look him up, because I saw that they pre-released the toys, which is kind of a misstep. They shouldn't do that.
No,
it kind of gives away
I think they revealed the villain. I saw like Sleepwalker in there, and I saw the Despair. I think that was.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're bringing all this stuff in on toys that shouldn't be released yet. Nobody should know what these toys look like.
And America Chavez is going to be in.
Because you're still what is it, next summer or next fall? When is the new?
Summer.
Yeah. So we're still a ways away from this movie being out, and they've only had one trailer at the end of Spider-Man.
Right.
A little early. Yeah. So what are you gonna do?
And they showed another character from the comics, that tentacle creature with the eyeball.
Yes.
He's in this little arcade. I don't know if you ever played this arcade
game. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's in that.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he's one of the characters.
Oh, okay. It's been forever since I played.
Yeah.
It's been forever since I played. I think they had that on console at some point. At least they had some version of the Marvel.
I think they teased that character in the What If too, because the tentacle creature that was attacking Agent Carter.
I almost thought it was in the refrigerator. Like, those little things that were coming out were like, is that like leftovers? You know, he was eating them, gained the power. Like, is that leftovers or something like this? He was just the octopus was too filling. It was too many carbs, so he just kind of shoved a little bit into it. For lunch tomorrow. It was a little weird that Ned opens the fridge. He's like, nothing I need in there. But that was perfect when they go down to the basement of the and the washing machine's going, the dryer's going. You're like, all right, I can picture this.
He's a normal guy.
He's just a normal dude doing his, wizarding cloaks. Gonna wash them cloaks. They get dirty. So, and that's what we talked about on the last one I did the Spider-Man review. It was like, it was pitch perfect. The comedy was perfect.
Yeah.
The interaction of the three Spider-Men together, talking to each other in the high school.
I think it'd be a little bit too much stuff going on, but everything came together.
It really worked well. It really worked well. The fan service and them talking, and when they went over the fact that his web shooters come out of his wrists.
Yeah. And I applaud Sony, because they still didn't release any commercials, anything with Toby and Andrew. It's surprising.
We were talking about that. That actually bugs me now when I look at it, because not the commercials. Okay, the movie still. But if you watched any of the premieres, they're not there.
Right.
And they're in a good portion of this movie. It wasn't like they weren't just a cameo, wink, in, hi.
Yeah.
they're in there. They fight the fight. They're there for a good portion of that movie, and because they want to keep it so secret, I get that Charlie Cox isn't there. He was in it for 2 seconds, but they're in the whole, or at least
that was a good surprise
of half of the movie, and they're not at any of the premieres. Like, yeah, here's a couple extra bucks because you're not going to any of the premieres. Because if they're up on the red carpet with the rest of the cast, everybody knows they're in the movie.
I gotta applaud them because usually these things get blown up.
They were committed to the lie.
Yeah,
they were committed to that lie.
They pulled it off.
Yeah,
it's hard to do that now with internet and everything.
We knew they were coming, but to not see them ever, was impressive. Yeah. And same with Charlie Cox. When everybody thought that arm, the hairy arm, that wasn't him, but to then see him sitting in the living room. I
remember when they did Infinity War, they kept showing that scene with the Hulk. That scene was never in the movie.
No, they digitally took it out. He was in the Hulkbuster armor because they didn't want to tip off the fact that he couldn't become the Hulk because he got defeated by Thanos. So he was having like emotional issues. Yeah. So he was in the Hulkbuster armor.
And also for Endgame, the trailer only showed the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, there's a bunch of times they took people out, right? They took people out when they were walking in the new, like the time suits.
Right. Different people too were in the suits.
They did it in, was it Civil War? When the new Avenger team, when like Wanda was there and Falcon, they took out Captain Marvel and put Wanda in.
Yes.
Or Vision. They put one of them, like one of them floats down. It's supposed to be Captain Marvel, but they digitally take them out. So you could see where they digitally took out Andrew Garfield when he was flip kicking. If you saw the European trailer, you see that extra moment where Lizard gets hit and he gets knocked away for no reason.
Yeah.
Right. Then you go back and you knew somebody was hitting him and it was Andrew Garfield flip kicking him out and he turns away. Like, okay, somebody's hitting him. Nobody apparently because we digitally took it out. So.
Like I said, they got the best marketing team, man.
Yeah. Well, that was Marvel and Disney were the ones who were like, we don't want them in. But Sony was like, no, we want them. We want people to see them.
Yeah.
And then they took them out. We're like, no. So obviously,
I'm sure after this weekend you'll see all of the ads with the all three Spider-Man. You'll see them.
Yeah, they'll start changing it because at this point everybody knows. Everybody knows it's in there. So it is what it is. I'm not really big like I'm not really getting involved like spoilers. Like I don't care. Like I just want to go see the movie. I kind of know what's going to happen anyway. I was so happy with Charlie Cox being in it. And I kind of knew he was going to be, and the fact that I kind of knew did not take away any enjoyment when he showed up. It was still there. Fine.
I know they've announced so many like spin-off movies and TV shows, but I don't know how they're going to even approach this Echo show at all.
Yeah, it's
going to be tough. I don't know how.
It's going to be tough. You're going to have a lot of connective tissue with other things going on. There's not enough of just
and the main character doesn't talk. That's the main issue. Yeah,
that's a problem. So is there enough?
And I didn't find her I didn't find her too compelling as a character.
She's not very engaging at all.
No,
not just the fact that she can't talk, but like just the backstory. We got her
like
backstory.
One note, Yeah,
we got her backstory. We know what she's about. I don't need more. You know what I mean? I don't even really need more of Elena, but we'll probably get more.
I mean,
you know what I
mean? I like Elena.
Her backstory. I saw Black Widow, and I'm good. I got it. You know what I mean? It's not a super engaging character.
Who I would love to see as a Disney Plus show? I want to see the adventures of Wong during the blip. Those 5 years when there were no heroes.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, he's the new Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, because he's almost out of a job. He's not around anymore, so he gets
they have no stories set during that 5-year period. And I think that's the most interesting period right now.
Yeah, that's that kind of Clone Wars stuff. Like, we don't really see, we're going to get some connective tissue at the Clone Wars TV show. We get to see things that happen between
And I'm sure he had a lot of adventures,
Had to do something. Somebody's going to be out there protecting, doing the
How does he know the Abomination,
How do they become friendly and they're just they're kind of fighting but helping each other by not killing each other? Yeah.
I think there's a lot of story right there you could do.
A lot of meat on that bone. Way more than Echo. There's far more meat on that bone.
And Wong is a cool character. I like him a lot.
I think he's funny. He cracks me up every time.
Yeah.
Every time. He cracked me up in Shang-Chi. He cracked me up on, he's like, don't do it. And they took out that part where he winks at Peter.
Yeah.
In the trailer where he's like, don't do it. Oh, we won't do it. And he winks at Peter. They took that out. That wasn't in there. I thought that was strange that they, for some reason, took that out of the movie itself. But overall, great movie. Great
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
So when does Cobra Kai start?
It's December
Right.
31st.
Okay, yes, yeah. A
Just
couple of
like
weeks away.
last year.
That's
They
right. A couple of
released
weeks
it
away.
during New Year's.
So we're gonna have essentially Boba Fett and Cobra Kai.
Right. But Boba Fett is going to be week to week, and everything's going to be
Cobra
binged.
Kai is just all Cobra Kai I'll get binged by the weekend to be done.
Right. I saw that during the New Year's Day. I was done.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I think it took me 1 or 2 days to binge the entire.
Yeah.
I didn't get any sleep that night. It was good. It was compelling. I'm like, all right, I gotta watch the next episode. It was that well done. I'm hoping season 4.
They know how to do like cliffhangers with each episode. They know how to do that.
Yeah.
And they're not long episodes. So
no, they were not. They're not like, which I'm okay with. I'm
Yeah.
okay with. It doesn't ever to mean. I think the Hawkeye ones are too short.
right.
Although the next one's gonna be 58 minutes. I
And
think the next one's
that's
longest.
one thing I don't like about the Disney shows. Their seasons are way too short.
Yes, and Hawkeye's the worst of them all. It's the worst offender. It's the shortest with the shortest episodes.
And do you think they're gonna give you another season on that?
Yeah, I have a feeling now that Kingpin's coming in, and just like really majorly in the last episode, I'd be
Mhm.
surprised if they just do a one and done with D'Onofrio, one big episode, and
Well,
you're not going to be doing.
I heard-
they'll Daredevil in eventually.
I heard on the grapevine that Charlie Cox is gonna play a major role in Echo.
So there we'll have Kingpin there too, because
Yeah.
essentially she's working for him.
Yeah, and the other rumor was he would have the yellow suit,
That I did hear.
Yeah.
hear. I'm kind of excited about that.
and
I
the
like-
other
I like-
rumor was he would also show up in She-Hulk.
Yes, because she's a lawyer and so is he.
Yeah, Yeah.
So they might be in doing something together in the courtroom or
Right.
combining. Yeah.
so maybe he'll be a connective tissue with all these new shows or something.
Did you see that on Disney Plus? It's sort of like their trailer montage. They did
Yes.
stuff about what's
Yes.
coming up.
Yes.
Little bit of She-Hulk, a little bit of Moon Knight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Moon Knight. I'm excited for. I like
I'm
Moon Knight.
very excited about Moon Knight, and I like. And Disney's good at that. Like Disney's, here you
Yeah.
go. Here's a little bit to wet your whistle. This is
Yeah.
coming up. Stay
But-
excited.
I'm kind of scared that it's kind of a dark character. I don't know how they're gonna Disneyfy it.
It's their darkest. They said it's going to be the most violent.
Right.
It's going to be the most bloody and violent show of the
Yeah.
shows because he is pretty no nonsense, just
Mhm.
killing people left. Yeah, so it's all right. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. We got one show like that, and we'll have I Am
And-
Groot. It'll all be comedy and funny.
I'm wondering how they're gonna introduce Miss Marvel, because she's tied to the Inhumans.
Yes.
And
Which they're
does
kind
that
of a bit-
does that Inhumans show still exist in canon?
I mean, technically, they say everything does,
Right.
right? Because of the multiverse, everything is canon, and they're still ignoring Agents of Shield, but
Right.
everything kind of does. But they can write around it. You know what I mean? They're just the same way they've written around mutants for so long, and they're eventually gonna have to bring them in. They'll find a way to write around how she gets her powers. Is she
I mean,
a human or something else? That
Yeah.
causes her to get her powers. But
Yeah,
isn't her powers different in the show? She doesn't necessarily stretch like
It
Mr.
seems
Fantastic.
like she has different powers.
Yeah, she has more almost like technology based powers with
It looks like it's
gauntlets or something.
energy projection, like Green Lantern, a little bit.
right from like gauntlets or something like that she
Yeah.
wears.
Maybe
So it's pretty different than
pre-technology or something.
Yeah, Kree or some from the Eternals or who knows? Like a million different ways they could bring that in.
Yeah, well, I mean, Agents of Shield, I really like that show. I thought the last season probably they shot themselves in the foot because they kind of like did the multiverse type of thing themselves.
Yes, it definitely went on a season or two too long.
Yeah, and it looks like they went on a divergent timeline in the storyline of the show anyhow. So
Yeah, it's separated because the original story stuff was connected to the MCU because they
Right.
referenced it in New
Right.
York and things like that, and they brought in what's her name, Thor's.
Sif, Lady Sif.
Thank you, Lady Sif. Thank you. They brought in Lady Sif. So and then eventually they just kind of broke away,
Yeah,
and
they
basically
went to an
nothing.
alternate dimension and timeline and all that stuff.
and they had to because you had Coulson there, so he's tied to the Avengers
Right.
movie.
Right, but
You know what I mean? So you have to diverge it because otherwise, how is this guy? You can't make it a separate all together
Well,
separate.
Well, the way they ended it was Coulson is now a robot, so they could easily bring him back into the MCU and just say
Right.
like, Coulson's a robot now.
Yeah. Poor Coulson. Poor Coulson. He gets beat around so much.
Yeah,
He just gets kicked around. Oh, as a
he's
character.
died like 5 or 6 times already now.
Yeah. He just gets kicked around. He's like their sacrificial lamb. Which then they need somebody to kill out. Like, kill Coulson again. He's not doing
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, on the show they said like a character said like your superpower is to die.
Yeah. And come back somehow. Come
Yeah.
back. I don't know how
Yeah.
it's gonna work. But we'll make it happen. Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, my friend, that was 3 hours.
Well, we could probably go for another 3. But-
Easy. Easily go for another 3 hours. But I gotta start wrapping gifts.
I know.
Thing. I don't know about you. We haven't wrapped one thing yet. I gotta start wrapping.
Yeah, well,
gifts.
my wife already wrapped everything. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm the wrapper of the house. I'm the one who does all because I'm kind of like nerdy about my wrapping. Like, I like it to be folded and perfect, and I'm crazy with the wrapping. So it's like a zen moment for me. It's a little relaxing thing that I get to do. So yeah.
Well, it was great talking to you, man. It's always good to talk to a fellow geek.
Without a doubt. And let me know, if you want me to come on your show, let's make some plans. And
yeah,
you tell me.
Definitely.
Yeah, you tell me whenever that I'm available. I'll happily join. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to use this restream. It looks like a cool app to use. I never used it before.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super easy to use.
Are you? Is this free or?
I think I might be on a paid version because you get longer record times with that.
Right.
But it's cheap. I don't know. It's like $15 a month or something like that. It's like super cheap. I don't go for like the big long version.
Anchor has a feature on their app that does something like this. I haven't used it, so I'm gonna try it out.
The audio sound is definitely like because I can do certain things with it. It still seems to be better. Like from the other person coming in, no matter what they're using, it's better than Zoom.
Oh yeah. I've used Zoom mostly for some of these interviews, and there's always like an echo or something.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. So I use this one, and like I said so far, I mean, you have to I'm on a Mac, so you have to use Google Chrome. It doesn't like Safari, but beyond that, there's no restrictions on it. So,
all right,
like I said, I got my mixer plugged into it, so everything's going through that. So that helps. It allows me to play all my audio clips and everything like that.
So when you have like a little echo, you can fix it, and
if I need to, if I ever get anything like that, I'll just pop it in. GarageBand's okay, but I'll just pop it into like one of the Adobe programs that has a lot more robust audio editing.
Yeah. See, I don't know any of this technical stuff.
I've been doing it for so long. Like I said, I used to do a lot of Illustrator work and Photoshop, and I taught myself, different programs like Premiere. So I do a lot more video editing now and things like that, using After Effects and things like that for like logo treatments and stuff like that. Just kind of kicking around, reading books, watching a lot of YouTube videos because it's all out there. You can pretty much learn anything these days if you have the time. Everything's so democratized now. It's so much easier to do than it ever was before. Even just having the Adobe programs, they used to be wildly expensive, and now it's like $30 a month. You can have the entire suite.
Wow!
And it was like $1,200 just for Photoshop. You know what I mean? Like it used to be ridiculous. So everything's a lot cheaper now. So it's a little easier to manage, and it's all a write off because I use it all for my school.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I use all that software gets used to make signs and things and stuff for the school, and all kind of flyers and social media things. So I write it off all for the
don't make fun, but I use Canva.
Yeah, I know a lot of people use Canva. A lot of people love Canva. Because I have background in Photoshop, I can do stuff without using their templates. But like I'll use what is it? It used to be called Over, but now it's GoDaddy Studio. I use that on my phone all the time. It allows me to take video and overlay graphics on it while doing the video and create the different sizes, and it works. I love it. So I use it. I use programs like that all the time too.
Yeah.
You got to use what works. Yeah. You got to use what's free. Use what works.
Well, we're doing some exclusive YouTube videos for our channel. The kids are going to be doing trailer reviews for stuff on our channel. Maybe we're going to be doing like skits here and there. Yeah. So they're gonna have a lot of fun.
That will be fun. That will be a lot of fun. Yeah. let me know if you need, like a logo intro or something like that, something going on, something fun.
Yeah,
I put some stuff together for you. No problem. It's
and another good feature for the Anchor app, they give you like music to work with.
Oh,
that you can insert into your podcast for free and stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, I like doing stuff like that. But whenever you use something that's like copywritten, you have to like keep it under 30 seconds.
Right.
You don't get banged for it. So yeah, so that would be cool. I'm gonna look into that because and I like that sponsor angle of it too. So with like I said, Castos doesn't do. So I'll look into it, see how it works.
I hope it helped you out with a little.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I had a blast, an absolute blast. So tell everybody again where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find on the Anchor app and on Spotify and on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, all over the place. Look for the Geeky Dad podcast.
Fantastic, awesome. Well, I appreciate it. We'll chat a little bit after we're done, and like I said, if you want to make plans, we can do something on your stuff as well. That'll be great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
This is the longest one we've done so far, and probably the most fun one I've had.
I'm sure you'll edit it down.
Well, just a little part in the middle, but that's about it. Everything else is going right out because I like to keep it pure and keep everything on. So people listen to it, they listen to it. And I think it's fun. So thanks again. All right, everybody, we're entertainmentrants.com. You can find us online at our social media, Entertainment Rants. On Twitter, we're Entertain Rants. And we'd love to hear from you at engage@entertainmentrants.com. Send us a review of the show. We'd love to hear from you on Apple Podcasts. And we'd like to chat with you. If there's something you'd like us to rant about or you'd like to be a guest on our show, just hit us up on any of our social media or online, and we'll rant with you soon. All right, Raphael, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Keep on ranting, everybody.